order. It is 6:30 p.m. on Monday, December the 21st. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We'll proceed along with board roll call. Kevin Campbell.
Here.
Jessica Johnson.
Here.
Eric Gordy.
Here.
Brady Anderson.
Here.
Beth Praska.
Here.
Amy Edwards here. We have full quorum of the board. And also to note, we are holding this meeting virtually as per our normal routine as of late due to the pandemic and in concordance with the governor's orders. All right, next I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
Eric Gordy, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a first by Eric Gordy. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Brady Anderson. Thank you. First and a second. Any further discussion about the agenda this evening? All right. With that, I'll take a roll call vote. Beth Praska.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Brady Anderson.
Aye.
Eric Gordy.
Aye.
Amy Edwards. Aye. Agenda passes as presented. All right. Next, we'll go into public comments. And as per discussed earlier, Minnesota Governor Walz declared a state of emergency on Friday, March the 13th, 2020, and moved to limit the size of public gatherings in response to the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, attendance of the public at this meeting would not be feasible due to the emergency declarations and preparations related to our schools pursuant to state statute. We do have a process online where members of the public are able to submit comments in advance. And I was notified by Amanda that there are no public comments for me to read at this point in time. And again, this public comment portion of the agenda is specific to our normal public comment section around the just broader school business. All right. Next, we will go into our annual Truth and Taxation hearing. And I believe Superintendent Dean is presenting this evening.
Yes.
As our business office manager was unable to attend. So thank you.
Sure. I just want to make sure, Cher, are you on the line? Okay, so yes, I am going to present this. This is a presentation that, of course, we do annually. It's usually either the November or the December board meeting, but of course we have to do it before the end of the year. And so, yep, this is our Truth and Taxation public meeting. I know all the board members have a PowerPoint. Now, I remember Cher doing this last year, and she literally read the slides. So I'm going to read the slides, especially since we are virtual. And I know that there's folks that are on the phone and have called in. And so I apologize in advance if you get annoyed with me talking a lot tonight. But we'll just get started. So, of course, Truth and Taxation public meeting this evening, December 21st, 2020. The Minnesota Truth and Taxation law requires that cities, counties, and school districts follow certain steps before adopting a tax levy for the following year. The law requires a mailed notice to each property owner in the county, which describes the levies proposed by the city, county, and the school district, and what percentage increase or decrease that that would mean in dollars. Second, school districts are required to hold a single meeting in which the public is allowed to speak and the budget and the levy are discussed. This meeting may be part of a regularly scheduled meeting, but must occur after 6 p.m., and that's where we are right now. The meeting date and location must be provided at the same time or prior to certifying the proposed tax levy. The meeting date must be between November 25th and December 28th. And you're here tonight as part of the school district's public meeting process. Requirements of the Truth in Taxation public meeting are: number one, discuss property tax levy for the taxes payable in 2021. Provide and discuss information on the current budget, which is our 2021 budget. And number three, opportunity for for public comments and questions, which we'll talk about at the end of the slide deck. So points to remember. First of all, revenue formulas are set by state legislature except for the voter-approved referendums. Number two, local levy and state aid mix are set by the state legislature. And then number three, an increase in local taxes does not necessarily mean an increase in revenue for the school district. Now, the tax levy timeline. So between July and August, school districts provide budget and enrollment information to the Minnesota Department of Ed, who calculates the preliminary levy. September, boards certify the preliminary levy. In November, the county mails notices to property owners. And then in December, there's public hearing and the public hearing and board certifies the final levy. Calendar year 2021, the county collects levy and sends to the school district, and then that revenue is for the 2021-22 school year. So Rockford area schools, our district budget. For this year, our current 2021 budget. So we'll start with, is this okay with you, Amy? My pace, and is this okay? Thank you. Because again, I wasn't prepared and I didn't have
Yeah, no, you're going at just a perfect pace. So thank you for checking on that, Rhonda. Yep.
Fund accounting overview. So all school districts' budgets are divided into separate funds as required by law. The main fund, of course, is what we call the general fund, or Fund 1. And as you can see there's several things that fall under Fund 1. The revenue for Fund 1 is based on student enrollment. Local referendum levies are part of the general fund, or Fund 1. Fund 1 provides for classroom instruction, instructional supplies and equipment, and other educational activities. Special education and state federal mandate programs are funded out of Fund 1. Extracurricular activities, transportation, facilities operations and maintenance, capital expenditures and improvements, and health and safety code compliance. Those are all things that we fund out of the general fund, or what we call Fund 1. Fund 2 is food service, and that, of course, is our breakfast and lunch program. The third fund is what they call Fund 4, and it's for community service. Fund 4 is a levy based on the levy is based on adult population in the district. It provides for enrichment programs for any age level that are not part of the K-12 educational program. It provides the early childhood levy is based on the number of children under 5 years of age. Early childhood family education falls under Fund 4. School readiness programs fall under Fund 4. And then adult basic education fall under Fund 4, or what we call community service. Then there's the Debt Service Fund, which is Fund 7. Based on annual debt retirement schedules for the district's outstanding bonded indebtedness, the annual levy is for the payment of the principal and interest on bonds that are due. Current debt is a result of voter-approved bond issued for the elementary school and the improvements to the middle school and the high school. As you can see by this slide, which is the 2021 budget overview, it shows our revenues, the actual from last year, the budgeted for this year, and the percentage change for those main funds of Fund 1, which is the general fund, the food service fund, the community service fund, and the debt service fund, and then the OPEB fund. Any questions about that slide? Thank you for that. Actually, I'll be providing, for those listening, I'll be providing our business managers information at the end. So if there are additional questions that I might not be able to answer this evening, you'll be able to reach out to her directly or put a question in the chat. There we go. Thank you, Amanda. So the general fund revenue budget. So where do our school revenues come from? Well, as you can see, 70% of our funds come from state aid. And then the second biggest slice of the pie, if you will, are their local taxes, followed by federal aid, and then just other local revenue. The next slide breaks down our expenditures. The actual from last year, 1920, the budget for this year, and then again, the percent change in those same funds, the general fund, food service, community service, debt service, and the OPEB fund. So how are our general fund dollars spent? Because remember, general fund dollars, Fund 1, our biggest budget. How are they spent? Expenses are incurred in the operation of the district. Expenses incurred in the operation of the district are paid from the general fund. The following schedule relates how dollars allocated to the general fund are spent. Sorry about that. So as you can see there, it progressively gets how the allocation, how those individual sections are listed. As you can see, it gets bigger as you go down. So regular instruction is the lion's share of that Fund 1 budget at 41%. Followed by just the site, the building, and the equipment. As you can see, this slide shows the general fund expenditure budget and how those dollars are allocated. And again, you can see that most of our expenditure is salary and wages, as to be expected because of the nature of our business. We are a people business. Most of our budget is salary and wages and other benefits, of course. School district levy, the 2021 payable and 2020 payable in 21, that was certified in 2020 and collected in 2021. and it'll be recognized as revenue in the fiscal year 2022. So as you can see, there's a year delay from collecting in which the district receives the funding. Authority for school levies. A school district tax levy must be either set by state formula or voter approved. So what are the main variables that cause property tax increases and decreases? Well, issues driven by legislative decisions are first, changes in the sales tax revenue, changes in tax capacity rate structure, change in property tax credits. Issue determined by district voters are voter-approved building bond issues and voter-approved referendums. What are the main variables that cause property tax increases and decreases? Well, and this is continued. There's local factors like school board elections, school board actions, property improvements that were not previously taxed, change in individual assessed market values, and possible change in property classifications. Now, levy limitations and certifications for 2020 payable in 2021. As you can see there, the comparison of certified payable in 20 compared to 2021 and the difference in the dollar amount as well as the percentage. And board, I know you had an opportunity to review this slide deck before the presentation tonight. And I'm really appreciating that right about now. So whereas, pursuant to Minnesota statutes, the Board of Rockford Area Schools, Rockford, Minnesota, is authorized to make the following proposed tax levy for general purposes. General maintenance or general fund, $3,524,913.92. Community service at $133,306.62. Debt service at $4,320,466.09 with a total property tax levy of $7,978,686.63. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Rockford Area Schools, Rockford, Minnesota, that the levy to be levied in 2020 to be collected in 2021 is set at $7,978,686.63. The clerk of the Rockford School Board is authorized to certify the proposed levy to the county auditor of Wright County, Minnesota. If there's any questions regarding the tax levy, again, I'm not the business manager. So I'm not as familiar with the numbers as she is, but you can see that her email address is on this last slide, and she's more than happy to follow up with any questions that individual board members or the community may have.
Great. So first I'll start and ask, do any members of the board have a question at this point in time? And then I will open it up for public questions after that. I'm not seeing anything. Great. With that, I do know that we have a few people on the phone this evening. So if you do have any questions, you may unmute your line and ask your question. What I would ask is that you please introduce yourself by your name, first and last name, and your address. And then you may make your comment or ask your question. We'll just wait for a minute and just see. I'd just like to wait just a little bit, just in case people are puzzling over it or thinking, and then it's a little different when you can't see the room. Okay.
And again, just for the record, because I know it's being recorded, our business manager is Cher Teschner, and her email address, if you have a question that you'd like to email her, is her last name, Teschner, Tischner, so Teschner S at rockford.k12.mn.us.
Wonderful. Thank you. And also this is or will be posted to our website. Obviously our board meetings are recorded, and so people can certainly listen to Superintendent Dean's presentation at a future date as well. And then, of course, the door is open if people do have questions about this. So thank you. Thanks, Rhonda, for walking through that. At this point in time, I'm going to close the public comment section of our meeting. And there were no public comments that were lifted up. So I'm closing the public comment portion of our meeting at this point in time. All right. We'll get into the rest of our board business then, as it relates to this. So we'll move on to section 6A, which is an agenda item. Sorry, just waiting for my email to open it up, or my board book to open it up. But basically, this is the action that is the resolution that Superintendent Dean just presented to the board to certify and approve the final levy. This is a resolution. This would be roll call on a regular day, and it certainly would be roll call in a virtual setting. With that, I would entertain a motion for the levy.
This is Eric Gordy. I'll make a motion to approve the final levy as presented.
Thank you. I have a first by Eric Gordy. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Beth Praska.
Great. Thanks, Beth. I have a second by Beth Praska. First and a second. Any further discussion? Any no further discussion, we'll do a roll call vote. Brady Anderson.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Beth Praska.
Aye.
Eric Gordy.
Aye.
Amy Edwards, aye. The levy certification as presented passes. All right. Next, into the business office manager's report. With that, I will be turning that over as well to Superintendent Dean.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Well, the business report has two components this evening. First is the enrollment update, and I know this is part of your board packet, but if you look at the our enrollment update, enrollment update, we're still down. Just have to say it, we're down almost, we're over 100 kids now. At the last board report, where we looked at enrollment, we're at about 96, and now we've hit that 100 mark. So we're down about 108 kids. We saw an increase in the number of students choosing to choose to go homeschool. It was a few weeks ago when there was an uptick in the county infection rate data. We saw that shift in some of our enrollment numbers right at that time. And so we're just speculating that parents are choosing to pull their kids out temporarily. Hopefully it's temporary until we kind of get over the hump here, in which I think we have, and we'll talk about later in the meeting. But those numbers are starting to slowly go back down. But yeah, we knew that this is not surprising really for me, because we do know that there were some families who made that decision. So it's not ideal by no means. But again, we're in the same boat that almost every other district in the state is in. And I do know that the state of Minnesota is still considering school districts' proposal to hold us harmless with our enrollment data and fund us based on last year's numbers, and not just for enrollment, but also for compensatory aid, because we've noticed that not very few, but we're not getting the feedback or the response from families to fill out those free and reduced lunch forms like we have in the past. And that has, and again, it's not just Rockford, it's statewide. And it's to the point where the state actually extended the deadline for free and reduced lunch applications through the first of the year to try to give school districts more time to kind of, bang on the door, literally in some cases. But we're not seeing a lot of response still. So we'll continue to work on that. But again, we're hoping the state holds us harmless both for enrollment as well as compensatory funding. So more to come on that. The second item, as it relates to the business manager's report, is also in your board packet, and that is just an outline of the budget through November 30th, so through Thanksgiving. And again, it's in your board packet, and you had an opportunity to review it prior to this evening's meeting. Any questions for the business manager?
No, I don't see any. And Rhonda, I appreciate you proactively reminding the board and mentioning kind of the pending potential legislation about holding the school districts harmless, and that all districts are in the same spot as it relates to this, and gives families an opportunity to make the choice, and then the districts an opportunity to keep the lights on. So, and plan for the kids that we hope to be coming back when this all passes. So
yeah,
good. Great.
More to come.
Good. Thank you.
No, thank
All
you.
right. So that concludes the business office manager's report. Next item we're on. So thank you, Rhonda. Next, we'll go on to item 6C, which is the resolution of acknowledgement of contributions. Superintendent Dean, would you like to present these, or is there anything of note that you wish to highlight?
Well, I always like to acknowledge, I'm always just in awe at the support that our community provides our school district. So I don't, without calling them all out, I just want to say in general, just again, our community has stepped up. And, Hanover Athletic Association, huge contribution for football helmets. So a huge contribution to the football program. Culver's in Albertville. The Rockford Foundation has continued to support our teachers. And so they're always a prime resource for us, and we just truly appreciate all the support that we've received from our community. So I every month this page puts me at awe.
In addition, that looks like the Northwest area JCs as well as individual community member too. So again, I think just quick math, it's like $21,000 or something all in total this month. So like the generosity is, it's palpable.
It's words can't even describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not one time, Amy. It seems like every month
Mm-hmm.
someone in the community is reaching out, and this particular month there's financial support, but sometimes it's support with masks
Mm-hmm.
or items that we're needing to continue to operate smoothly. So yes, the generosity is overwhelming sometimes.
Well, thank you for presenting that. With that, I would take a motion to accept the contributions.
This is Jessica. I'd make a motion to accept the contributions as stated in the agenda.
Thank you, Jessica. I have a first from Jessica. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you, Brady. That's a second by Brady Anderson. I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right, pending no further discussion, roll call vote. Eric Gordy,
Aye.
Beth Preska,
Aye.
Kevin Campbell,
Aye.
Brady Anderson,
Aye.
Jessica Johnson,
Aye.
Amy Edwards, aye. The resolution to accept contributions as presented passes. And again, tremendous gratitude to the community, Rockford area schools. Next, we will jump into, was somebody saying something? Sorry, I have to flip back and forth between video. Was somebody trying to say something? No, sorry. Next, we'll jump into agenda item 6D, which is our strategic temporary staffing update and discussion. This is an action item as well, and I will turn it over to Superintendent Dean.
Sure. Thank you for this. Now, this is where I was coming in. So this particular action item is a strategic temporary staffing position that we are interested in securing to provide some strategic support for primarily Reams, because Reams right now is in person. And even though they're in person 4 days a week, but hopefully we'll be back to 5 days a week, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. But with all the quarantining and the sub shortages, we're hoping to hire some, what we're calling a daily sub to come in and be in our buildings and help support our kiddos. There have been times where we've had unfilled subs, again, just due to the nature of the quarantining and the lack of sub pool. And so we're coming to you, and I noticed that myself and Aaron are on this. Hi, Aaron. Good to see you this evening. As a way to, again, to keep our schools operating efficiently and effectively with minimal or hopefully no disruption to our student learners. And so that's what this temporary staffing is for. It's to help us get through just this school year. So this is just for the 2021 school year. It's temporary. And again, it is to help us deal with some of the staffing issues that we're having really on a daily basis in all of our buildings, primarily right now at the elementary. I foresee even a greater need for this position, to secure this position now, with the guidance that came out last week through the governor's office and then the subsequent guidelines for school districts. We know that many of the metro schools will now be opening in January. Schools that have been distance learning since September are now going to open for in-person instruction. And I just see that with them opening for in-person instruction, that there'll be probably even less, a smaller sub pool to help fill our needs. And so again, I'm just trying to be proactive to make sure that our learners have what they need and there's no disruption to our instructional delivery model.
Great, thank you, Superintendent Dean. I'm also going to recognize Erin Rucker, who is our Director of HR. So you are at the virtual podium right now, Erin. So I am just recognizing you. Should there be any questions or anything additional that you wish to say on this topic? So just process. Welcome.
Thank you.
Erin, was there anything else that I wanted you that we have talked about regarding this position, or you'd like to add?
No, I would just share that all of the bullets, Rhonda just highlighted most of them, but they're actually in your board packet for review as well. And we wanted to just highlight really the need and then the positive impact of having a long-term sub in our building.
Great. Thanks, Erin. Great. Well, this is an action item if there aren't any. Oh, hi, Eric. Yep, I see your hand is raised. Eric.
Virtually raising hands.
Yes, I like it. Thank you.
Yep. Rhonda, can I just ask a couple questions?
Of course.
So you've made mention of the difficulty in filling roles. Do we have any information about how many times we've had failure of filling with teacher on call, which warrants the need? Do we have like general?
Sure. Well, I can tell you that hold on, I'll get the exact dates for you. Between September 15th and November 20th, we had 59 unfilled K-12. So that's not just Reams, that's K-12. So in 2 months, we had almost 60 unfilled positions.
And this person would be, and obviously this person is, the greatest need right now because Reams is the only one in person. But if all the people at Reams, and this would be a district-wide because they have licensure and that's all that necessary, is that accurate?
Well, they would be they'd be eligible, if you will, to serve us district-wide. But the primary focus is Reams.
Absolutely.
Just know that our youngest learners are the most vulnerable, and to have a sub, an adult in that classroom is our priority. And so it's not that person couldn't be dispatched, if you will, to the middle school or the high school if the need exists there, but the primary focus is on Reams in our youngest learners.
And I just wanted to make sure that wasn't it's only for this, but it's utilized to be able to go all the way across if the need presents and the opportunity presents. The other question then, Rhonda, as well is this person then is obviously priority to fill our professional teaching staff positions first. And then after she's utilized, then we backfill with teachers on call. Is that a pretty fair assessment of where this would go?
Yes. Well, Erin, yes. What happens oftentimes, though, Eric, is what's happening, or what we have found as we have traveled this journey over the past several months, is when our staff have a pre-scheduled appointment, or they know they're not feeling good the night before, they're able to call in and there's a sub assigned. What we have found is happening to us is that a teacher might get called late night or even be approached during the school day and said, hey, we have to quarantine your classroom, or we just notified that, something is amiss and we're going to have to either quarantine or something along those lines. But it's those last minute situations that this person is more likely going to help fill. It's not to say that they can't fill other sub positions, but it's that emergency, it's that quarantine, it's that there's no sub assigned. I mean, even in good years, there have been times where, you know, in the morning, there's just no sub assigned to the position through teachers on call. And so in a situation like that, we have this person in the building that can now go in and fill that position.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm hopeful we'll look at process a little bit too with filling those. So we're not, if heaven help us that we ever get to a point where we only have one sub necessary in the district or none, that this person is utilizing. We don't have two people showing up for one spot or a person showing up for 0 spots. Just saying that to utilize them, because as we know, a teacher sub is a little bit more expensive for us than other positions possibly to fill. The last question is, Rhonda, is there any fiscal benefit to us in not in putting this person on as an on-call person during student contact time rather than utilizing teacher on call all the time?
Sure, Erin, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so specifically to filling the teacher substitute roles, there's a small daily cost savings. I want to say it's minimal, so it's about $12 a day specific to teacher assignments, but that would be potentially a realized cost savings. And then really, I know this doesn't go specific to fiscal responsibility or the fiscal implications, but the ability for us to be planful and supportive of our teachers that have been going through everything they've been going through. I think there's something to be said for that, even if it's not necessarily a fiscal implication.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And any dollar's a dollar, right? Pick a penny, see a penny, pick it up, right? So thank you. I appreciate you for putting that through for me.
Great. You're good. Here, Eric's out. All right. Thank you, Eric. Great questions. Next, I think it was Beth had her hand up.
And the little hand.
There. Okay, just a little clarification, Rhonda, and maybe you haven't thought about this. If the sub is district-wide, but mostly for Reams, who's going to be coordinating this so that we kind of know the most important spot to put this person?
Sure, Beth, this individual is actually going to report to Reams, and because again, Reams is the priority, and then from there, the principals talk, the secretaries talk. Trust me, they'll be jockeying on whose position is more important.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to the principals and their secretaries to make those management calls on how to utilize that person.
So that person will most likely just head into Reams every day and then.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Not that the buildings, they're not that far apart. We're lucky, but just thinking about that logistically.
No, they'll report to Reams every day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, Beth.
Great. Any other questions? I don't see any more hands up. All right. Great. Well, this is, I'll just say one thing. I mean, I appreciate the thought that's been put into just kind of thinking about a broader play for having some level of consistent staffing within the district, and putting and understand has its challenges and how you administer it. So thus some of the questions from the board colleagues of just making sure that it's logistically, accounted for. But just from a healthcare perspective, I appreciate kind of thinking about the notion of having a consistent long-term sub, knowing that the likelihood of people going in and out and kicking in and out of quarantine is real. And so thanks for thinking a little bit more strategically about this. So
if I may add one last thing, Amy, because I'm sorry, you made me think of this. One of the other reasons behind this particular strategy is something you just said, is we don't want a sub coming into our buildings who Monday they were in Orono, Tuesday they were in Delano, Wednesday they were in Buffalo, and now Thursday they're coming to Rockford. No, we want our sub to come to our buildings. So again, it's part of trying to create that Rockford bubble.
Great, thank you. All right, so with that, this is an action item. I would take a motion.
So this is Eric Gordy. I'll make a motion to approve the strategic temporary staffing for the remainder of the 2021 school year.
All right, I have a first by Eric Gordy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
second it.
Praska.
All right, I have a second by Beth Praska. Great, I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right, I was like, Kevin, you raised your hand. All right, Brady Anderson. I'll call for
Aye.
a roll call vote. Brady Anderson. All right,
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson. Oh,
Aye.
okay, there you go. I'm like, you're giving a thumbs up, but I don't think I can technically log that. So Jessica said aye. All right, I've lost my rotation now. Eric Gordy,
Aye.
Beth Praska,
Aye.
Amy Edwards, aye. This passes. So motion passes. Thanks for the dialogue this evening. Appreciate the district's work here and the board's discussion.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll go into our consent agenda, which it is presented in front of you. I would take a motion related to our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve our consent agenda.
I have a first from Kevin Campbell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Brady Anderson. Any further discussion? All right, pending no further discussion, I'll do a roll call vote. Beth Praska,
Aye.
Eric Gordy,
Aye.
Jessica Johnson,
Aye.
Brady Anderson. Brady Anderson.
Is that me? Aye. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was-
All right.
My internet here is a little questionable.
Yeah,
Aye.
that is you. All right, Kevin Campbell,
Aye.
Amy Edwards, aye. Consent agenda passes. All right, next we will go into section 8, which is high student achievement. And this month we are highlighting the elementary school. So I will ask Principal Nyhus to come to the virtual podium. Welcome.
Hi there. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good.
Welcome.
The thing I would like to highlight tonight is just our transition from being full in person into hybrid. As you know, every time we do something like this, it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift on our staff, especially. And we did take those 3 days before Thanksgiving and really work through this. I just want to do a huge, first of all, shout out to John Engel and his team who got all our devices put together and checked out to all of our students. Game changer in our building. They had about a week to really sit with kids and work through all of those. Now, just keep in mind, 3rd and 4th graders, this is not something that is brand new to them. Our little guys, a whole different ball game. You know, you think about a kindergartner and starting to get on devices and learn Seesaw and learn through all those things and just be prepared for Friday. And so we send devices home with kids Thursday night. And like I said to the staff, and I've said to a lot of people, you know, Galaxy staff, everybody who's working with our kids on Friday, it's going to be a little clunky to start with. And, you know, and it was. And yet I think the kids did very well. The teachers did amazingly well. Those 3 days that we had prior to Thanksgiving break, we did a lot of tech training. We pulled together right away on Monday morning. We did a lot of tech training and just walked through What else do you need about Seesaw? What else do you need through Google Classroom? We talked about Clever. We talked about all the things that the tools that the teachers would be needing. And again, I'm going to give a second shout out to Kevin Neff. I'll take you back a year or so when we were kind of talking through this position and was that going to be valuable to us as a district? It has been invaluable, especially in this pandemic. He has worked with individual teams. He has come in and worked with my staff as a whole. It has been amazing to just watch what he's been able to do single-handedly to help prepare our kids and our teachers. So again, a huge shout out to Kevin Neff. But we gave them a lot of time to work together as teams, a lot of time to just really plan through things. We talked through a schedule. We talked through attendance. We talked through expectations for students, expectations for teachers. I pulled them together again Wednesday morning and I said, we still have the day today. What else do you need? And you know, they were pretty honest with me and said, we feel pretty good about our Fridays and our hybrid model. If we had to go full distance learning, we're about 50% there. And we know we have 2 days to use yet. And so I appreciated that honesty and just that dialogue. But a lot of people said those 3 days were a game changer for them and just really helped them feel prepared. So from that, you know, we really had to look at our lunchroom expectations. When you go into hybrid, you have to obviously be spread apart further than we had been. And so we spread our kids apart farther in the lunchroom, and we have them sitting farther apart. The procedures that we're using in that lunchroom is still working really well, but again, yeah, bigger distance in between. Phi-Ed is another one we looked at. They used to work together in classes, and we had 2 classes in the gym at once, and they intermix and they play together. We now drop the curtain down and they play only in their own classroom. Again, trying to keep them in that one cohort. We put stations outside at recess, and so there's a whole rotation station. You might be at the Gaga pit today. Tomorrow you might be at the playground equipment. The next day you might be on the blacktop. We used some of our CARES money and purchased a lot more active items that they can use out there. I really worked with my recess ladies. They know what they love, you know, and they said, oh, they really love those little blocks that they make, you know, snow forts with. So we ordered a bunch of those and haven't been able to use them yet, but it's coming. And so I think the thing that I would speak to more than anything is, you know, the teachers have really worked hard to spread kids out in their classrooms. Kindergarten has been a major game changer. They went to desks, and that is so different than kindergarten is used to. Teachers have had to get rid of their sit spots on the floor where they bring kids up to the carpet and sit. And it changes how they teach. It changes what I would say is probably best practice. And that's been very difficult for our staff. They're doing it and they're handling it like champs, and so are the kids. And yet, you know, I think the thing I would also like to really highlight is that yes, we are in full person, and yes, we are, you know, with our kids every single day, but it is not without stress. My staff is stressed and they're working hard, and it's really about how do we keep kids safe all the time? How do we keep each other safe? We talk a lot about that mental health piece, and it's obviously, you know, the pandemic isn't easy on anybody. And every time we kind of start humming along and everything feels good, you know, that governor will kind of pulls the rug out from under us and throw something else at us. And, you know, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but I'll tell you. And so I guess I just want to say a huge, you know, kudos to my staff and everything that they're doing for kids. They do amazing work every single day, and it is stressful. It is very stressful, and I'm so proud of them. And I tell them that a lot, and I hope they really know I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I'm proud of our kids. There have not been days without meltdowns of I'm sick of wearing a mask and I'm sick of doing it. Yep, we all are. But they really come in and do a pretty good job every single day, and I'm really proud of them. And for the most part, my staff asks, when do we get our 5th day back? Can we be back in, all 5 days? And they want to be there, and they want to be in front of kids. And the normalcy is not normal. We're trying to make it as normal as possible, but there have been, no artists in residence, no concerts, no, all the things that make us us. And, even my new staff members say to me, I can't wait to be here on a normal year and see what we're all about, because it has not been a normal year. But like I said, I just, I'm really proud of my staff and just how they handled that change. Again, there are more changes coming at us, and we're rolling up our sleeves and doing what we can. But like everybody else, we're ready to move forward and have some normalcy back. And hopefully those days are coming. Like Rhonda said to us today, I think I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's little, but it's there. So like I said, the 3 days were a game changer for us. I think the other thing that has been really super difficult for people is, the amount of quarantining that happens. You really are trying to keep up with kids and make sure that some kids have quarantined twice. That's 28 days. That's a long time. And so it's really about trying to help them and make sure that they don't fall behind either. And the teachers own that, and they really feel that. And we're doing the best we can. We're doing the best we can to make sure that we're pushing things out to those kids, and we're making sure that we're trying to keep up with them. And I know that can be frustrating too, but for the most part, we've not had a ton of cases in the building. And I can't tell you how proud I am of my staff. So that's basically my report. Like I said, we're moving forward with those new changes coming, and we're going to try and do the best we can and get kids back in 5 days as soon as possible. So
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Anyone have questions for Principal Nyhus? No. Cool. Hey, I'll just double echo the gratitude, to be honest. I mean, our district has been able to keep our youngest learners in a classroom all year.
Yep.
And that is because of the human beings in your building, the teachers, the staff, the custodial staff, the paras, the secretaries, the entire building that's been showing up every day to make that happen safely, effectively, with open hearts, big hearts, all of that. And so I just can't express enough gratitude because we're kind of on the side of like not normal. Like we're in the spot where we've just really valued that ability to keep the in-person learning going and kind of, walking the line now that have to, in this hybrid zone. But it's a lot for the teachers to be doing it. And I appreciate your comment that many are saying, when can we get back to all days together, and what does that look like? And so that's just, that's good. And I'm sure that the team is looking forward to winter break for some time away.
Well deserved.
Well,
the other thing I would love to share with you is our first Friday that we had 10 kids that did not log on, only 10. And when we had, we really stressed those devices have to come back on Monday. I had 10 kids who didn't bring devices back, and some parents brought them in later that day. So I think we were down to like 6, and they were all back on Tuesday. So, I mean, they are handling this like champs, and they walk so proudly with those backpacks every day. And we've got a whole team that distributes lunches and their breakfasts on Thursday before they leave. We've got them all in rubber tubs, and everybody runs out and distributes at 2:30. And so it has come together, and a lot of people have really, really pushed up their sleeves. And so super, super proud.
That's awesome. Hey, one question that I had, and I'm reflecting on a comment that you made that, some of our new teachers are, like, hey, I can't wait till we get back to like the regular Reams, because then we have the artist in residence and we have all of these things that happen that are part of our DNA. Have we used technology like to bring artists into our buildings via Zoom or other things? Just to, it's not the same. I'm not pretending that it's the same, but have we used technology in ways that have kind of created a different way to bring that in?
And most of our artists do come in the spring. So we're kind of holding out and waiting to see what the potential is that we may be able to do that. And if not, Darren Eliason, who is my arts coordinator, and I've had many conversations about this. We did have a dance artist several years ago who came to us virtually because she was from the Cole Center and could not make it out to Rockford due to her schedule. And so she came in and worked with our kids in the band room. So it's doable, and we've done it. And, you know, we have a long-standing relationship with these artists that we use. And so is there a way to do that? Or now is it a chance to branch out and say, we're going to bring someone in from China, or we're going to bring someone in from that we never would have had the ability to do. So we've had that conversation.
Cool.
We have just not settled on anything quite yet. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Just curious. You know, it's a whole new.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Well, good. Well, anyone else have questions? All right. Otherwise, yes, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Happy holidays, and you get
Thank
some
you,
rest
all of
too,
you. Yeah.
as well. Much deserved rest. So thank you. Great
Thank
update.
you. Yep. Have a great holiday, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Next, we are on to Dr. Scheidler. Welcome.
Hello, Chair Edwards. Hello, School Board, Superintendent Dean, and all of our community members that have joined. I'm going to speak about the elementary school because that's where I'm stationed and spend the lion's share of my time. I want to dovetail what Brenda said, just the devotion and dedication these teachers, paraprofessionals, secretaries, just what everyone is doing to band together and support in so many different ways. It's amazing. And I also want to just highlight a group that we don't see, and those are our distance learning teachers. So there's 3 teachers that are teaching about 100 students, and 2 of those teachers are teaching 2 grade levels. I mean, it's just stunning. And I know that Principal Nyhus and myself have been trying to just keep tabs on them and help them, proceed in something we haven't been through before. So we're really grateful for the service that they're providing. I want to talk certainly about my board report. So I'm just going to go 1 through 4 and see if there's any questions on 1 through 4. And then number 5 we'll present. I've got just a brief presentation to go through our CARES reimbursement funds. So point number 1, titles 1, 2, 3, and 9. Title 1, we've really been focused on data analysis. What really stands out, I was just highlighting the efforts of our Ream staff, particularly our Title 1 teachers, our ADSYS teachers. They've got data, and they are collecting data on students and helping with interventions that are data-driven right away. And we're talking about how quickly we can provide assessments in the winter. As soon as second semester begins, these folks are on it, they're proactive, and they're forward thinking, and it's really, really impressive. We've also had meetings of how we can possibly expand, whether it's Title I services or ADSYS services beyond Reams. And we had a great meeting. It happened at Friday from 3 to 4 o'clock. And for folks to stay engaged when they could have been doing a whole lot of other things, we had administrators and teachers really focus their efforts and help in moving forward. Title III, this is the first year we've had Title III monies available. And our EL team, that's our teachers, our media specialists, Principal Nyhus, we met to strategize and to envision the future and to utilize those funds in the most judicial manner, and those efforts continue. And then Title IX, you heard from Erin Raker earlier tonight, our new HR specialist. She is fantastic. She is our new coordinator of Title IX, and we're supporting the transition. We've also, since I last spoke with you, we've had quite a bit of professional development for our Title IX team, and that includes Superintendent Dean, myself in the coordinator role, and then our 4 investigators. And that was with our Masico collaborative, and just a great opportunity to learn more about Title IX, to learn about the processes that we'll use, and to continue to work on that policy that you approved earlier this fall. Section 504 plan updates. We've worked to digitize forms so students and families can complete those online, especially as we're not face-to-face. And as in my case, I'm usually at the elementary school. So by going digital with Google Forms in this case, it brings all the papers directly to me, and that's helped with efficiency. We also have created a Section 504 plan dashboard for each school. And so that allows our counselor, our principal, and myself to really talk about the students in their individual buildings, and talk about maybe concerns that the folks are seeing at the school level, and I can share my most recent conversations with the students and families. And that's been a collective and collegial effort, and I'm really excited to partner with our counselor and our principal in each building in that effort. Number 3, this is also a first for our district, the Native American grant. MDE, their language is officially American Indian, but we've been utilizing Native mostly in our communications with our students and families. We've had 2 meetings via Google Meet in October and November. Part B says determine co-chairs. The co-chairs are actually determined. They're fantastic. 2 of our parents. I meant to say we decided who our co-chairs would be, but I guess that works both ways. They have a lot of great ideas. They're bringing in connections to other districts and to outside resources. So we're really blessed with the students and families that we have that have really committed their time to our Native American committee. We've finalized our goals and submitted our application. We have a very close working relationship with our point person at MDE, and we're looking forward to receiving feedback on those goals and application here soon. And then the 506 form, I'm working with Kathy Ehlers and the district, the secretaries, attendance secretaries in each building for how we can update our data for our Native students and make sure we are recouping or accessing all the resources that are available at the state level and federal level. And then number 4, summer learning opportunities. We have a meeting on the books, January 29th, 2020. It's titled Envisioning Summer Learning Opportunities. I want to really credit Superintendent Dean. She and I have had several preliminary conversations of how can we provide the best possible experience for our learners in summer of 2021. And actually I see a typo. That should say January 29th, 2021. I apologize for that. We know that our students are coming off basically a year from spring of 2020 to spring of 2021 in at least a distance learning or hybrid learning environment. We hope we can provide face-to-face learning opportunities and experiential, hands-on, and really work with our students and families to help close any gaps that have developed or widened, and really get these kids excited about summer learning. That's our goal. And so January 29th will be a great step in that direction. I'll pause for a moment. Are there any questions on items 1 through 4?
Beth. Yep.
First of all, Matthew, thank you. I'm so happy to hear that you're moving forward the conversation to move absence or title to the secondary. You may recall that was kind of on something that I worked on when I was there, and it's so important. So I'm happy to hear that. And I have one question about the summer learning.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhonda may know what I'm talking about more. So we've been fortunate enough to have summer learning in the district for a while. Has anyone ever considered extending that? Because in other districts, the summer's kind of the where it starts, and then the targeted services go into the school year also. Could that be added to the conversation? So not only would they have summer extra targeted services help them, they would also have opportunities during the school year. And I think it comes out of the same funding source.
Well, I'll start with that question, and certainly Superintendent Dean can join in. I really appreciate, Beth. I know that you were involved in writing the original application, and I appreciate laying that groundwork. In terms of the summer learning, that's one thing. Dr. Anderson-Hume was a part of that meeting as far as extending ADSIS and/or title. She talked about some of her previous stops, how she had multiple programs, staff members that were supported. This is an application year, so we will be spending quite a bit of time with those folks, those point people at the elementary school, and we want to look at how can we provide supports. I mean, I know our staff have tried several things, and in fact, our Title I specialist was going to the middle school to try to provide some support during Boost, and it just didn't quite align because she wasn't able to see the same students each and every day. So we're continuing to put our heads together, and that's what that January 29th meeting, it will be a continuation of extending ADSIS, Title I, and targeted services. So yes, those conversations have started, and they will continue.
Okay, good. And because Rhonda, you may know, I used to be the targeted services coordinator in Anoka Hennepin. And so, like I said, multiple programs throughout the year. The learning plan started in the summer and then extended throughout the school year. Something that we haven't had an opportunity to do in Rockford, and it would just be a great next step if possible. And I'm so happy about the ADSIS. I'm over here smiling. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thanks, Beth.
You know, when Matthew and I talked about this a few weeks ago, it felt like it's way too early. It was because it was like end of November. It's like, I can't believe I'm getting ready to start talking about summer school. But now it feels like, okay, because as Matthew said, we know that this summer we have to ratchet up our services because there's been such a gap in learning that's happened over these past 10 months. So we're just starting the conversation early.
Yes, I think it seems early, but this is the time we start having summer conversations. I mean, you're planning for next year, and you're right. It's very pervasive. The learning loss for our primary students is, yeah. We need to have this conversation now. So I'm really happy. It's heartwarming to know that that's happening.
Thank you, Beth.
Great.
The situation's not heartwarming, but your conversations are.
Thanks.
Thanks, Beth. Anyone else have questions for Dr. Scheidler for this portion? Because I know you've got a next that you're going to go to. All right. Well, why don't we, Beth, if you could put your hand down, your virtual hand down, that way I won't accidentally call on you when you're not ready to be called upon. And then I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Scheidler, to go through the next portion.
Okay, and I wanted to ask Amanda. Amanda, do you want to drive the presentation and then we can kind of coordinate that way, or would you like me to present? Oh, there we go. Amanda is just on it. Thank you very much, Ms. Myrowski. So today at our school board meeting, we'd like to give you a COVID-19 reimbursement update. This is similar to the presentation we provided in September, and we have updated data that we can share with you. Let's move forward. So our overview, we want to talk about the funds that are available, and now we'll talk about the expenditures that we've made through December 30th. We're very excited with the thresholds that we've met, and we met them early, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail. We'll also talk about, these funds are not infinite. They will sunset here in the near future, and we'll just discuss that a little bit. Let's go forward. So a quick timeline here. This is the same slide we had in our September, but I just wanted to ground us again. March of 2020, it's when really the COVID lockdown began. June 15th of 2020, we found out about our ESSER 90%, 9.5% in gear. And even though we found out about those funds first, they were actually the lesser amount of funds, and they had the longest time period that we could utilize them. So Rhonda and I, in our vernacular, we call them the buckets, right? Rhonda, we've got our 5 buckets, and these were the three buckets that could be filled last, so to speak. July 16th, we found out Wright County had dedicated several $1,000,000 to CARES funding. And then in August, we found out from MDE. Now, August 11th, and when we, let's go ahead and click the next slide, Amanda. Now, we see quickly how these deadlines came up, and it really required proactive communication, creative thinking by our administrative team, and a solutions-based approach. And I would also say just a lot of patience as we created these processes for the first time. So Wright County CARES, the time frame that we could utilize those funds was July 1st to November 1st. Originally, it was December 1st, but Wright County moved that up. And we were in great shape because we already had our ducks in a row in mid-October. So we were on the front end of Wright County CARES. We met that threshold. Then the next date is July 1 to December 1 for CRF. CRF funds, originally we were told December 30th was that deadline, but that got moved up because, as you can imagine, with the end of the calendar year and winter break in there, the MDE really wanted to move forward the processing of all these hundreds of thousands of dollars for school districts. Again, we're in great shape. Our business department, Sheriff Tishner, Sarah Pepin, I call her Lightning because I will send her an email and I'll get it back in about 2.2 seconds of response. And Paula Wanis have just been fantastic in helping us create these processes. And Superintendent Dean is overseeing all of this, so we're really, really thankful. The next one, I have a question mark, and it just so happens today is the day our federal government is supposed to decide this next stimulus. I've heard $80 to $82 billion have been set aside for K-12 education, somewhere in that area. We'll find out the details. I know the bill is over 5,000 pages long, so there's a lot of details to work through. We'll find out if, how much of those funds will come to us. We've got processes in place, so we're ready and we're excited if we receive more funds. It's just a question mark. We don't know what, and we don't know what amount, and we don't know when. And then finally, that last due date, that's the one I was talking about, gear, ESSER 90%, ESSER 9.5%. That date is way out in the future, but you'll see coming up here, we have really kind of earmarked or encumbered funds for just about all of this money. We know that the governor and MDE provided these funds to be used for our students right now, not to sit in an account and just wait. We want to have the PPE for our students and our teachers right now, for example, that protective equipment. We want to provide the staffing for our students right now because we want to give them the best possible experience. Okay, Amanda, you can go ahead and click forward. So this table, this is our last slide, and I'll just go through it briefly. If we go by columns on the far left, we've got the fund. WCC is the Wright County CARES. CRF is COVID relief funds, coronavirus relief funds. ESSER 90%, GEAR, and ESSER 9% are those three funds I mentioned earlier that don't need, their deadline is September of 2022. Available funds is that second column, and you can see what we were allotted right at the outset. A grand total of just over $700,000. And we're very grateful for those funds. And we've tried to be as judicious and creative and in stretching those funds and finding the best ways to utilize those funds to support our students and staff. We have spent, if you look at those first two rows, Wright County CARES funds, we have zero available. That's great. CRF, we have $0 available. That's fantastic. We utilize every dollar of the award that was granted to us. And if you go back to that timeline, we were told in August, you basically have to spend $500,000 in the next 3 or 4 months. We did that, and we did it as a team. I'm really, really proud of our teachers, our students, our families, our school board, and our administrative team for really rallying together and making that possible. As you look at the ESSER 90%, the GEAR, and the ESSER 9%, it should be 9.5%, I apologize for that typo. We have a little bit, we've spent about 2,500, about 2,600 of that ESSER 9%. The rest is encumbered, meaning we have those funds dedicated. That ESSER 90%, the lion's share of that $98,000 is for staffing and substitute costs that we know we're going to incur, or we project that we're going to incur. So we have about $20,000 that are still available, and we're still processing all of our expenditures and recoding them, so that number changes daily. GEAR. The primary purpose of GEAR was to provide technology and access to our families. Well, you look at that $19,926, that's all for hotspots, the devices themselves, and the monthly charges. We have done, I give our tech department incredible reviews on this. They have been so willing to work with our families. I just want to give you one example. Last Friday, we had an intervention team meeting. And from the time of that meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning until 2:30 in that afternoon, we had spoken with our teaching team. A family was struggling to get connected. The counselor was willing to come in, pick up a device, drop it off to the family's home, and by 3 o'clock that afternoon, the family was connected. I mean, that doesn't happen everywhere. That is awesome. And that's where that GEAR money is allocated to, those hotspots, and really providing the support. We know getting a device is only part of the puzzle, right? They have to have access that they can rely on. And then that ESSER 9.5%, we talked a little bit about summer learning opportunities. That's one of the primary uses for those funds. So we definitely have costs that will be coming our way, and we know some of the summer funds could possibly be utilized there. I will pause and answer any questions, and thank you for this opportunity, but I'm certainly willing to answer any questions.
Oh, Brady.
Not a question, more of just a comment. I think you guys, you know, you look at that and it's a lot of money, right? And everybody says, oh, I can spend a lot of money really fast and come up with a plan. And you know, that's a lot easier said than done as a person who has to plan for capital purchases at an organization, you know, and then it's typically in the business that I'm in, it's a use it or lose it scenario, which this is as well. I just wanted to say you guys have done a great job in responsibly allocating these dollars. You know, it's visible to the families, into the communities, in the enhancements that have been made to the facilities to support teaching and learning in the COVID era. It's evident in the devices that are in the hands of the students, in the PPE that the staff has on as they are doing their jobs. And a number of other ways, you know, the unique ways that that music instruction is being delivered, choir, you know, band, all that stuff. It's really remarkable. So I just wanted to tip my cap to the staff for you and the support that the district is giving each other and making sure that these dollars are wisely spent. And not only is it going to support us through COVID, it support us to be a better district long-term too. I really do believe that. So just want to tip my cap to you guys for all that hard work.
Thank you very much, Brady. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Brady. Anyone else on the board have a comment or a question for Dr. Scheidler? Cool. All right. Well, I think, oh, yep.
I could just,
Superintendent Dean.
yeah, if I could just thank Matthew for his work with the COVID funds. I mean, it's a fluid situation, and Matthew's really stayed on top of all the expenses and making sure, I mean, we're talking federal funds, state funds, and just making sure that we're adhering to all the guidelines attached to the funding, and making sure that we don't overextend ourselves or purchase something that doesn't qualify, or just anything like this. Just making sure that we're staying on top of all the guidelines, especially the federal funds. So yeah, thank you, Matthew, for leading us through this process and really taking the reins of all the funds and making sure that we stay in compliance.
Well, thank you very much, Superintendent Dean. I always think I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the efforts of everyone. I mean, together, everyone achieves more. That's team, and this has been a great example of that. I will say this: the folks at MDE, I have not only their work phone numbers, but their personal cell phone numbers. I have just worn out the lines with them, with asking them questions and going through piece by piece. And their responsiveness has been off the charts. So we're working with great partners, and just really, really appreciative of everyone that's been involved in the process.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else have questions or comments? All right, well, I'll echo. I mean, I don't think I can say it any better than Brady or Superintendent Dean just said. I'll add, a moment of gratitude though. I think, when we, as Brady said, I mean, this is $750,000 that kind of came to the district that the district was charged with spending wisely and also spending within guidelines. And I think, as Brady said, you can feel and see how those dollars were used in unique and different ways. The fact that I can go into see how the band team, right, has their masks and covers over their instruments so that they can play and they can do things. And all of that comes at a cost. And that's a cost that, if we didn't have these dollars and funds, like those sort of learning environments, those sort of learning gifts might not have been a reality for our students. And so I just say thank you, Dr. Scheidler, for your attention to all of the details. Just managing a federal grant is no joke. Managing, all of these dollars is no joke. It's not something to be taken lightly. And there's a lot of detail that goes with it. So thank you for that. Thank you for what it appears to be a really engaging process with all the members of the district too with this. So thank you. Really appreciate it. And this is a great update. It's nice to see the dollars spent down, as we talked about, 4 months ago. You said, hey, we will figure out a plan. We'll get a roadmap. We will make sure that the right, dollars are spent in the right spot. And, to have all of our kids with one-to-one at this point in time, that's one piece of the puzzle. That's not the whole thing, but that's a big part of our future too. So if there's a silver lining, at least we've got that part of it squared away for now. So.
Well, thank you, Chair Edwards. I really appreciate that feedback. You just brought up one item. Of the dollars we've spent so far, 27% have been allocated to PPE, 73% have been in the general area of social distancing. So staffing, curriculum, the items that you just mentioned for our band, our marching band. I mean, there's so many creative uses of these dollars, and we work with great people. So we'll just continue to do so to close out these funds.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. It's nice to be able to say yes to things, right?
Yes.
How
Yes.
can we versus how can't we? So
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good rest of your evening.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Next, we are on to section 9A of the agenda, which is our building and grounds update. This is our quarterly update from our Director of Grounds and Facilities, Mr. Jim Bloor.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
I would say happy holidays, but I will say happy holidays, but it's also a time to be thankful for all the great coworkers you work with. And I'm thankful for that. So just a brief update. I got 3 things. Maybe I'll throw in 4, even though Rhonda said not to. Lighting upgrades. First off, we've had a couple phases of lighting upgrades, and the reason we went down that path is because Xcel Energy has added a bonus rebate this year up until December 31st. And it's a bonus of a 25% rebate in Xcel money. And it's really hard not to pass that funding up, because then our payback in years on projects really goes pretty quick. So we finished phase 1, which I don't know if some of you obviously haven't been in the buildings or not, but phase 1 was the high school gymnasium, some areas in the office, the RCC, different areas, middle school gymnasium. So we finished that up, and the payback on that on average is about 1 year and 9 months of the savings that we're going to have. And that's a pretty decent return on investment for cash flow for the district for utilities. Phase 2 is going to be starting here shortly. And since it's we didn't want to miss out on that extra funding, we added a little bit more to the project and spent a little bit more money to get our bonus money. And we will probably have a payback, because it's a larger project. Our payback on average is about 5 years, 6 months. And in projects like this with energy savings, isn't usually that quick. That's really quick. So that really will free up hopefully some capital funds in the future for our energy savings. Air quality upgrades. I've been playing with some different areas to boost up our airflow in some areas at the elementary. And we got to be a little careful about this, because if you don't keep track of what you're doing, you can throw a building out of balance pretty quick. And what I mean by out of balance is all of a sudden the outside doors will stand open because there's too much fresh air coming in. We're getting too much fresh air coming in where the boilers can't keep up, and it gets too cold. So once a building is commissioned and you start playing with those numbers, it really makes a big difference. You got to really keep track of it. So I kind of just doing it myself right now and kind of seeing how that reacts. We're going to be getting into some cooler weather. And I really have to watch that, because I'm mostly playing with it at Reims to try to bring in more fresh air and circulate. The other thing I want to say about fresh air and circulation in a room is, on average, based on our federal and state guidelines of indoor air quality, in an hour, we have to circulate that air, fresh air, a minimum of 10 to 12 times within that hour. So it's not sitting there stale or anything else. We have to abide by those rules, that it has to completely circulate the air a minimum of 10 to 12 times in 1 hour. So that's pretty good airflow. With bumping up the outside air, what that means is it puts a lot more cost on our energy consumption. But right now we're more concerned about our kids and our staff. So we're just got to make sure that our boilers can keep up. And then my last thing I got is our safe routes to schools, and that should be in your board packet. And the safe route to schools, this particular part of it, first round is, they call it a boost grant that the school can apply for. and we can apply for up to $25,000. We can get anywhere up to $25,000. And I put in for the boost grant to purchase some bicycles for the district, so we can utilize them for the kids that may not have a bike, or that we can use them to use a bike around the grounds. We can also put in for a trailer to trailer those bikes, and maybe we have the ability to take it to some areas around the district to let the kids ride their bikes, like for FIAD for the day, or for some other events, or a bike rodeo or something, that don't have the opportunity to do that on a regular basis. Safe route to schools from that point for us gets pushed off to the city a lot.
Yeah.
We can only apply for certain grants for money for safe route to schools. The city needs to then apply for the bigger grant money there, where we get crosswalks and crossing lights and that type of stuff. We can't apply for that. That's got to come from the city. So we've applied the first round for boost grants, and then we'll see what we can apply from here. And we'll have to reach out, and me and Superintendent Dean have talked a little briefly that we're going to need to reach out to the city of Rockford and try to get them, on board with us and help us out a little bit. So I think they understand what our goal is. Any questions? I'm going to make it brief. I know you guys don't want to be here till like midnight, so if anybody's got any questions.
Thanks, Mr. Lure. I think that was a great update. I'll just add, as you, if you do need to go to the city for some of the conversations around safe route to school or whatever, I would certainly put my name in the ring to help. Or if I'm trying to remember which board member was a part of our safe routes to school planning day. But anyway, if it would be useful to have one of the board members with you as you broker some of those conversations for something like this that involves engaging the community, I just certainly feel free to tap me, or if there's another member of the board that has an interest in this, sometimes that's useful or helpful.
Yeah, that I really appreciate that, because we will need a little push, because they have to apply for the grants and we need to push them, and there's deadlines for those. Mm-hmm. So I would appreciate, and any help we can get to push them a little bit would be great.
Yeah, and just really a partnership and a collaboration,
yep.
Really around it. So, because we all need to work together on that. So I just throw that out there. And again, I can only speak for myself. There's probably other board members that would be happy to serve in that capacity as well. But as needed, if that would be helpful or useful, please feel free to lean on the board. Speaking from my own opinion. Cool. Good. Well, any questions for Jim? I don't see any. Well, thank you. I'll follow my same pattern of gratitude. Boy, what a beginning of a year it's been, right? You were a big part of spending down the CARES funding as well. I know that as it relates to PPE and, dividers and all of those sort of things that protect our staff and students for being in our buildings and working together. So thank you. All of the things that you've had to tackle this year probably wasn't on your list of things going into 2020. But boy, think about how much you've learned and how much this district has learned that we probably weren't planning to. And thanks for your leadership as well with the safe routes to school. It's a big project, big lift, and really appreciate your dedication to that. So thanks for bringing that back to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Have a good rest of your night. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to everybody there too, and be grateful for your family and friends.
Right.
Thank you. All right, next, let's see. We are going into section 9B, the MOU for inclement weather, and it looks like Erin is coming back to the virtual podium.
I am. So I'm very happy to be joining you today after just a little over a month in a role. So give me grace. But I am here to share a proposed memorandum of understanding for inclement weather days that members of our teachers union actually created and then collaborated with the administrative team on over just this past month. And for some brief historical knowledge, which all of you have more of than I do, the conversation for this idea actually to adjust the district's practice for inclement weather began prior to this school year and actually before the pandemic even took hold last year. But then just a couple months ago in October, the Minnesota Department of Education provided some updated guidance allowing schools to adopt versions of e-learning or distance learning days due to inclement weather as COVID just continued to impact us. So something that we didn't have in place in the beginning of the year, in October, they said, hey, if you want to look at this, you can look at it now. So that's when members of our teachers union worked really quickly to create and kind of update the proposed plan I'm presenting today. And that really took into consideration all of the nuances for the different learning models and then the adjustments that we had to make in November. So they crafted the plan, recrafted the plan, and now we're here with you. I do want to acknowledge, though, that the timing for the Minnesota Department of Education and those changes that updated guidance in October means that our teacher union had to partner really swiftly to adjust their recommendations and then readjust them and then collaborate back and forth with us. So the proposal today hasn't actually, all of you know this, but hasn't actually been reviewed with the board prior. So I understand that and I'm acknowledging that. So that might result in some additional questions that I'll try to answer. But also, I understand there might be potential additional review prior to approval. But hopefully it's so straightforward that you guys love it from the get-go. So as outlined in this MOU, it is proposed that Rockford area schools utilize distance learning days for instruction when schools are specifically in distance or hybrid learning models that would otherwise then result in a school cancellation due to inclement weather for the duration just of this school year. And if you think about this, if this is approved as written, it would provide that learning continuity for our students, again, on days that would otherwise be canceled. It'll allow the district to count some distance learning days due to inclement weather as instructional days or instructional hours as it pertains to our funding. And then it also, just long-term, it would avoid some makeup days or calendar changes that would be due to the inclement weather for the duration of this school year as well. So just a few highlights on some of the benefits. And then really for next steps, if this is approved, then the administrative team will partner back to finalize an FAQ for our parents and staff so we can provide notification and details prior to implementing in our first inclement weather day. And then we'd also kind of confirm what the district communication plan for inclement weather distance learning days would look like. There's actually already a communication plan and a process that exists for inclement weather days up to this point. So following that same plan, but making sure that our staff and our students and our parents are all aware of this prior to implementation. So with all of that being said, I know you've had the opportunity to look at the proposal. What specific questions do you have that I might be able to answer?
I have a question. So first of all, I think the timing of this is something actually we started discussing prior to under our former superintendent, right? So, and just how to make that work. And, you know, looking at the positive things of, you know, the last March until all this time is it's made us get into a digital realm. So, I think it makes a lot of sense. My question is, currently are our elementary students, are they bringing their devices home midweek currently? Would this actually work for them in order to, or are they just bringing them home on the weekends? And if we had a midweek, would they be able to do the one-to-one?
That's a fantastic question. And actually had a lot of conversation with the teachers union leading into this because the proposal does say specifically, I know Reams right now is considered hybrid because of the Fridays remote, but what it does say, if there's 5 days, if we're in a model, 5 full day in person, then for those schools, you actually can't use a distance learning day. So I do want to call that out in addition to answering your question, Kevin. What we had talked about when Rhonda and I were working with the teachers union on this, we had talked about whenever there is an opportunity, thinking of Reams specifically, to proactively identify the likelihood of an inclement weather day, we would try our best to plan ahead. If that is not the case, it truly is still the superintendent having the decision-making power to say, hey, we weren't able to plan for all of our Reams students. We can't get all of the devices home. We woke up and it was -60. What was the weatherman doing that day? And so then on those days, we actually still would follow the typical cancellation policy. So it really is when we're able to plan effectively for it, for those students that are in hybrid, specifically probably Reams, that's where it would get a little bit tricky.
Gotcha.
Great. Other questions? Brady.
Hey, Aaron. So you alluded to the question that I had, and this is probably just me not being aware of all the rules and laws and whatnot. You are face-to-face 5 days a week. Why can't you, and there is a inclement weather, why can't you use a distance learning day to avoid having to make up that day if we run into that scenario?
So specifically because this was not implemented prior or at the beginning of the school year, approved by the board, it's not going to be by the MDE guidelines a traditional e-learning day. Instead, we're looking at the additional guidance they gave us in October saying, well, you can kind of do distance learning. And that specifically calls out that if you are 5 days in person, you can't. And so when we have this hybrid proposal that we have right now, where 4 days a week we're in person for Reams, we can use it. But then when we go back to potentially 5 days,
Sure.
if we had an inclement weather day, can't use it in that model. But then if we flex again back into 4 days a week or something else, we can use it again. So it might be a little bit of flexibility this year, but then long term, if we feel like as we pilot it this school year, if it goes really, really well, then hopefully we can talk about it prior to the start of next school year and get something more permanent in place where
Sure.
it really wouldn't matter if we're 5 days or 2 days in person. We can use this moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like a silly rule. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, thank you for clearing that up for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brady. Great question. Other questions? Oh, Beth, yes. Yep.
Hi, Erin. Thank you. Just kind of skimming through this, a couple questions. A little clarification about if the teachers need to go into the building or not. It's a little unclear to me, because it seems to me if it's inclement weather that we wouldn't necessarily want them to, but it sounds like they have to have this approved ahead of time. I haven't read it word for word, so I just would like a little clarity about that, because obviously if it's bad weather, they don't want to drive in either.
Beth, if I could, I don't know what, I'm looking at the guidance here, and so I don't know where you're reading that, but I can tell you that typically there always seems to be a few staff that end up showing up at the building because they live close or what have you. And so it's just taking into consideration those circumstances where staff do arrive at the building. Now, we're going to always strive to make those decisions at like the 5 o'clock hour by 5:30, but still, there are staff that maybe they're not tuned into the radio or the television, and they get in their car and they're just trying to get to work in a timely manner.
If they want to go in, that's fine. It just talked about here if they don't have the necessary technology. So I was just clarifying that, in safety's sake, I wouldn't want someone to drive in unnecessarily. But that's as long as you know that. And then the next one
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope. If you want to continue on that, you can. Rhonda, did you have something else to say?
Well, I just wanted to add that distance learning days or e-learning days were something that was brought up during this last negotiation cycle. And because that was such a laborious process, we decided to table it at that time. And so when MDE came out with some new guidance going into this school year, or like Aaron said, in September or October, because of the circumstance that we're in, we just took this opportunity to try this and pilot it this year to just see how it works for us, and to work out any challenges that we might have with this particular proposal.
Yes, I've read a collective groans across the country by students that snow days may never be,
well,
the same.
And notice it says emergency closing. There might be a difference between a true snow day and a inclement weather, minus 50 degrees wind chill days. Because you're right, there's something special about a snow day.
And then one more thing, and I don't know if there's really an answer for this, because this is also impacting a lot of students, and I speak to this from my heart. Our students on IEPs and 504 plans, asynchronous days are not a good thing. And it just talks, because I noticed that this was asynchronous, and then those IEPs and 504, so I would just hope some extra thought could be put into that, because I can tell you firsthand, asynchronous with those students is a real tough one for the parents.
Yeah. Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
So
Karen,
before I stop presenting, I just wanted to take one brief moment just to thank Mike Tauber, Polly Trondell, Steve Petrosky, Holly Bjorn, and Kevin Neff, because they actually were the ones that created and collaborated with us over the last month. So I just wanted to acknowledge them really quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is the spirit of an MOU, right? That's exactly it, right? It's I heard you use words like pilot, trial, like we're going to learn. Like, I know that thinking of a way to get this into the contract was top of mind for our union, and we couldn't get there last year because we didn't have technology, we didn't have processes. There was so many things to consider. So I appreciate, just kind of putting some thought into this and taking advantage of some of the new language out of MDE, as you've kind of considered this, and the collaboration with our union in that process. Again, that is what an MOU is all about. Mr. Gordy, you are unmuted.
Yep, very good. I was just going to make a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding for inclement weather.
Well, he's taken action. We've got a motion on the floor, first by Mr. Gordy. Do I have a second?
This is Jessica. I'll second.
All right. We've got a second from Jessica Johnson.
I just knew you were going to ask that. That's all. I just knew you were going to ask that next. So
I know. We've worked together long enough. You know the routine. All right. I've got a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Well, then we will take a roll call vote, starting with Kevin Campbell, because you are unmuted.
I am, and I.
All right. Brady Anderson.
Aye.
Beth Praska.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Eric Gordy.
aye.
Amy Edwards. Aye. Your MOU passes. Thank you for the collaboration with the teachers union. Thank you for expressing gratitude, and thanks for the administrative team for getting around the table to sort this out and to come to a common understanding of something we want to trial. So nice.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Yeah.
I could thank Erin, because Erin really did take the lead on it. After like 1 week, I was like, well, Erin, what about? But she took the lead. She did the homework, reached out to our teacher reps, and really just shepherded this through. And so thank you, Erin, for doing that.
I was thinking, Aaron, when you were talking and telling Brady, and Brady said, well, I think that's a silly rule. I just think HR's role is just to tell us the rules, not to tell us if they're silly or not. So it's good that you knew them all. So I appreciate that, because some things are just silly and we could have screwed that up, but having you there helps us stay in line. So we appreciate that.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Well, we look forward to hearing how that all goes. Let's see. Next. We will go into section 10A, which is a resolution combining polling places, which is prepared and presented in front of you. This is pretty standard. Rhonda, do you have anything else you'd like to comment on this?
No, not at all. I understand this is a procedural
Yep.
action, and so it's outlined there, and nothing's changed from years past. So no, I think that there's just an action that needs to be taken.
Great.
As it relates to the polling places.
I concur. All right. Well, with that, I would take a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the resolution as stated.
All right.
Jessica.
I have a first from Jessica Johnson, our clerk. Very fitting. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Beth Praska.
All right. Second from Beth Praska. I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Pending no further discussion, this is a roll call vote. Eric Gordy.
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Brady Anderson.
Aye.
Beth Praska.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Amy Edwards. Aye. Resolution to combine polling places as written passes. All right. Next agenda item is 10B, which is the second and final reading of policies incorporated by reference. Any comments on this? Nope, I am not seeing any comments. With that, I would take a motion. We had these presented to us last month.
Do you want a motion for both of them as one, or as
yeah, both of them as one, please.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we approve the resolutions that were presented with the redlining.
Okay, to approve the policies as presented, red line version. Okay, very good. First, I have a first from Kevin Campbell. Do I have a second?
Eric Gordy, second.
Second by Eric Gordy. I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Pending no further discussion, we'll do a roll call vote. Brady Anderson.
Aye.
Beth Praska.
Aye.
Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Eric Gordy.
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Amy Edwards. Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we will get into section 11. So at this point in time, if there are members of the administrative team, I don't know who has been staying on, but you're welcome to stay and you're welcome to go. At this point in time in the agenda, we don't usually ask administrative team to come to the podium. So thank you for being here tonight. Wish you a happy holidays. But again, you're welcome to stay. Just wanted to dismiss the team just for that. All right. Next, we will jump into item 11A. I always look to Jessica Johnson to validate that these are correct dates and times. We have the organizational meeting of the Board of Education, Monday, January the 4th at 6:30 p.m., currently slated to occur via teleconference. Work session of the Board of Education on Wednesday, January the 20th. This is one of our short sessions, 5:30 via teleconference. And the last one is regular meeting of the Board of Education, Wednesday, January the 20th at 6:30 p.m. via teleconference. All right, from Jessica Johnson, those are accurate and true dates for January. Fantastic. All right, next, we will go into our board and committee updates. Let's start with, how about Brady Anderson tonight? Do you have any updates?
Not a lot on the committee front. I attended a Governor Walz webinar where he presented to school board members and superintendents on the COVID situation. I think it basically validates our approach to managing through the pandemic, that based on everything that he presented there. So nothing really to call out there. It's helpful that he's doing these webinars for school board members and administrators to keep them informed. And I would advocate, as you see those come up from your MSBA notifications, to plan to attend. They seem worthwhile. So that's about it.
Nice. Thanks, Brady. All right, Beth.
All right, aside from the MSB Governor Wells, I had the curriculum committee meeting. Was really, I was happy that I was able to join. It was a lot about the IB and our magnet program. So that was really nice. And each school spoke about their particular magnet. And then one of you might know the speaker, Jill Gordy. She was amazing talking about the IB program. So it was nice. And that's about it for the month. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Beth. All right. Great update. Next, we'll go on to Jessica. You're on mute. Oh, there we go.
All right. Sorry, I was on my calendar making sure I had everything on my list correct. So let's let it get back to the screen. All right, so November item, Masico board meeting in November, and also had one last week for their December meeting. They rescheduled it. Instead of having it this week right before Christmas, we bumped it ahead a week. So we had it a week early. So I'm actually already done with the December Masico meeting. Negotiations meetings for 284, we've met twice, November 30th and December 14th. I attended the IBCP presentation by Mrs. Jill Gordy, and she was wonderful. Great presentation. I attended the one on Tuesday. I wasn't able to make the Monday one. We had our board work session, and then I'm on the continuing ed committee, and we had a meeting a couple of Fridays ago, and that was a great meeting. Kevin Neff leads those meetings, and had a lot of information to share, and they talked about the requirements through PELSB that are required for our teachers and what we're going to do to make sure that these teachers are getting their continuing ed credits and stuff like that. So that is what I have written down. I'm thinking I probably missed one or two things, but that's what I had on my list. So
Great. Thanks, Jessica. All right. Next, Eric.
All right. So I'll throw Beth out there as well. Beth and I finished off our phase 4 MSBA training. That was from the previous months, as well as several support staff negotiations and conversations with some of the directors about support staff, and with Ms. Dean and Ms. Renkar. So it's very, very helpful. Went to the MSBA organizational meeting webinar, participated in the pre-delegate and the delegate assembly for MSBA in terms of our legislative platforms. And God, I'm sure there's something else, but I'm forgetting. And I heard that person works really hard at the Mrs. title on her name. But the MSBA Delegate Assembly, some of the big things that they're talked about, obviously the funding formulas, the hold harmless funding formulas that we talked about. They also talked about direct cert for some of our free and reduced lunch students to go district-wide, make that a little bit easier to provide funding for districts. There's a tag-along on that for the FRAM applications, free and reduced meals applications, that was supported. And Rhonda, I sent you the document with all the vote tallies and all that stuff in a Google Doc. But it was to fully fund the nutrition programs in districts. So that was something that passed. There's quite a bit of discussion about what would the cost of that be to our state, right? That's kind of in conflict of supporting the education and supporting the food, but that did go through. There was some other conversations about homeschool students or students that are not, that are resident students, but not taking courses within our district and not being able to participate in those additional activities that are offered by the district. So if they were completely online learning, a virtual learning environment in another school enrollment, they wouldn't have the position would be that they wouldn't have the ability to come into their home district and participate in those activities, even though they are or are not offered by that other district. So those are some of the highlights from the pre-delegate and delegate assembly.
Thank you. That was a great update. Thank you for that. Thanks for attending that one too. All right. Next, we'll go on to Kevin. Kevin, this is your last update.
That's what I was going to say. This is my last update. I'm pretty confident I'm not missing anything. I have had conversations a little bit with Amy and Rhonda in different preparations for different things, but that is pretty much it. So, and then I would just say it's been fun serving on the board. It's been good to be a part of it, and I feel like when I got on 4 years ago, I think there was some feelings in the public of uneasement. There were some, just a bunch of different things that people asked me to get on for, and I feel like over the last several years we've taken good steps each of the years, and I think the district's in a even better space now than it was 4 years ago. So it's been fun. It's been fun with all of you, Amy and Jessica, especially the longest there. Amy, the things that we did together over the last couple years has been pretty intense, and you're an awesome chair. So thanks for being the chair of the board, and everyone, thanks for being on the school board. And Rhonda, thanks for the role that you do as our superintendent.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So we've got recognition reflection later, so I'll save my comments about you, Kevin. So just for my my updates, similar, just help to kind of work through some of the planning for agendas and different things like that in partnership with Rhonda, Kevin, and team. Also attended AMSD, very similar to Eric's update, top of mind, and Beth's update too. Top of mind is legislative platform. I mean, that's just a season that we're rolling into right now. And then conversations around the constitutional amendment proposal and what that might mean and those sort of things. I know AMSD is going to be active in kind of working through some of that. But other than that, really have been just, yeah, I think those are my big things that I've been doing the last month or so, those two. So thank you for that. With that, I'll turn it over to Rhonda for your updates.
Oh, okay. Well, where do we start? Well, I'm going to start with Governor Walz's executive order last week. So as you know, Governor Walz had an announcement last Wednesday updating not just the circumstances for schools, but of course, statewide, some of the new restrictions and requirements for COVID. For the school district, though, it really, someone mentioned it earlier in this meeting that it does feel like every time we get to like a little break where we can kind of breathe a little bit, the governor comes out with an update and we're just like, oh my God, we got to react again. And that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. However, I advise, especially the administrative team, to really take some time off because the principals, all the administrators, the DAT team, they've been grinding. They've been grinding since really March. Didn't have their spring break, didn't have much of a summer, but hopefully they're going to be able to take a little bit of time off. But in terms of strategic planning, so I shared with the board over the weekend the updated Safe Learning Plan. The plan was released on Wednesday. There's updates to that plan as of today, the 21st. And actually, we're expecting some additional updates over the next few weeks. There's some things in the original order. And when I say original, I mean last Wednesday's, not the original. But even between last Wednesday and today, some things that we felt as a district were going to be challenging for us. But as it turns out, they've kind of backed off on some of those things. And so I think we're going to be okay. Specifically, the guidance last week had some restrictions on where our kids could take their music and art classes. And the original guidance, when I say original, I mean last Wednesday, the directive was to have those classes in the classroom. And after further consideration, they backed off of that guidance. And now we can have, if the conditions of the environment support it, have those classes in the music room and the art room. And for us, that is exactly the case. We were kind of having a little meltdown last week, trying to figure out how are we going to do band in a classroom or even art in a classroom, especially when we work so hard at creating the conditions so that those classes, those specialist classes, can run in their spaces, because that's where the quality of instruction is highest, of course, in a band room, in an art room. And even the art room from September, when we had tables in the classroom, now there's individual desks. And all the students have their individual, utensils, paint brushes, and those sorts of things. So that's one that's already been changed since last Wednesday. The lunchroom, the guidance from last Wednesday was that students were required to eat in the classroom. And again, of course, we reacted. And as of today, they've updated the guidance that if our cafeterias are such that our students can spread out 6 feet, then the guidance has changed that we can continue to have our kiddos in the lunchroom. And again, that is our case, both at the elementary and secondary. Reams is already spread out with the 6 feet in between. And then the cohorts within the lunchroom also. And then at the secondary level, I know that both the middle school and the high school had made those accommodations in September. And so we're going to be okay on the lunch front. A couple of things that are still mandates as we move forward, and that is starting on January 18th. Much of the new guidance does not come into play until November 8th. I'm sorry, I said November. I'm sorry. January 18th, which is MLK weekend. What was I going to say? Much of this guidance doesn't come into play until then. But one of the things that we will have to make sure that we are in compliance with, and that is the wearing of a face mask and a shield. starting on the 18th for sure. And so we are prepared to do that. We do know that the state is going to will provide us some additional masks, the shields. But we're pretty flush with masks right now. So again, we're still working through the guidance. There's still things that it's a living document. Don't be surprised if you get something from us or from me either over winter break or right after we return in January with some additional updates as it relates to the guidance. Now, one of the things that is working to our benefit as it relates to the guidance is that for school districts who communicated to their families what our plan for after the first of the year, for districts that communicated that out already, we can continue on with those plans. For school districts who did not communicate out to their families what the plan was after the winter break, they have to wait until January 18th to make any changes. And so for us, we communicated out to our families that we would come back after winter break in our current model, current meaning right now, meaning hybrid and distance learning, but our intent was to come back at the semester break in the instructional model prior to Thanksgiving. Hope you're keeping up with that. And so because we communicated that out to our families, we will in fact be able to revert back to our original instructional model, which is Reams fully in person Monday through Friday and secondary in a hybrid starting second semester for us. We're a week behind what most districts are because of our calendar. So for us, that would be January 22nd, and then we're coming back on January 26th, actually, to the original distance learning model, which was in person and hybrid. So just to be more specific with that, I met with the principals today to really kind of flesh out what the calendar will look like so we can notify our families before winter break so they can start planning. What we have discussed in terms of the calendar is on Monday, January 18th, will still be a professional development day. That's a scheduled day. It was in our calendar. It's Martin Luther King's holiday. We will still have a PD day on that Monday. So there's no students on that Monday. Friday is the last day of the semester. It remains the last day of the semester. And for us, because Reams is distance learning on Friday, we're really distance learning K-12 on that Friday, January 22nd. Now, Monday, the following Monday, as the calendar states, the following Monday, which is January 25th, was supposed to be a late start day, a 2-hour late start. It was a 2-hour late start to allow staff to finish up their grading because the Friday before was the last day of the semester. That was going to be a 2-hour late start to complete grading and then start the new semester. Because we are transitioning back to Reams fully in person and secondary into the hybrid, we're going to spend our third transitional day on that Monday. Fourth transitional day, thank you, Jessica. We're going to spend our fourth transitional day on Monday, January 25th. And that will give our elementary teachers a chance to kind of regroup and especially our secondary teachers to transition back into a hybrid model. And because then that week will be a 4-day week, Reams, of course, will be in school Tuesday through Friday. And as far as the secondary is concerned, It will be a 4-day week, similar to like week 1, where Tuesday and Wednesday is cohort A, and then Thursday, Friday is cohort B. The other change that will happen second semester is the distance learning day. We're going to shift it from the Wednesday, which is what we had prior to Thanksgiving. We're going to shift that distance learning day to Friday. Working with buildings and grounds, we've become much more efficient and effective on how we disinfect our buildings. And so we are in a place where we can disinfect our buildings Tuesday after school prior to the B cohort coming in on Wednesday, Thursday. One of the reasons why we want to transition the distance learning day to Friday is really 2 primary reasons. Number 1 is we're finding that to have those 3 consecutive days, kind of the argument that we made for Reams moving to a Friday distance learning days, those 3 consecutive days of no contact has helped us with our contact tracing and mitigating the number of students that might have to be quarantined because we have those 3 consecutive days. That was the first thing. And then the second thing is we don't know what the future brings in terms of if we have to transition back again. But if we did have to transition back and Reams would go into a hybrid, then we would be aligned K-12 with having all of our students have the distance learning day on the Friday. And that would facilitate not having to run our buses then on Friday. And it would also facilitate any district meetings, QComp meetings, in any additional PD. And we could, again, align all of those activities K-12 on that Friday. So those are the 2 primary reasons we changed the AABB cohort to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with the distance learning day on Friday. A lot of moving parts in the past 5 days. But you know what, I tell you, and people have, I know the administrative team has said it, our teachers have been rock stars. We've been in this boat and it's been rocking and we're all hanging onto the rails, but getting it done for our students. Any questions about the transition model? So we shared that schedule with our staff today so they can start thinking. And I just ran out of day today, just ran out of time. But we'll push something out to families tomorrow so they know, of course, well before January even rolls around what the plan is for second semester.
Yep,
So, hey, Rhonda, when we start talking about our transitions back after the semester starts, hybrid, in person, all this other stuff, are those conversations included with our, not only our district admin team, the DAT team, but it's our union teachers? Like how the large Minneapolis St. Paul, right? They included the union leadership to have those conversations. Are we going that route as well?
Well, yes and no. I did reach out to the 2 union stewards last week, right after the guidance came out, because again, at that time it was eating lunch in the classroom. And, it was just like, whoa, we got to have a conversation here. How's this going to work? But then, of course, that guidance has changed. But no, we have not sat down with just the union leadership. But the building principals have had conversations in their buildings, talking with the teachers in terms of what's the best way to transition back. And so, no, it's not happening necessarily just with the union stewards. It's happening with the staffs in the 3 buildings. Thank you for asking that question, Eric. The other thing with the guidance, and I'll just mention this quickly, is we're going to, how about if we add on top saliva testing on site? Oh, yay. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. We'll do that too. I mean, it's going to be convenient for our staff, absolutely, but there's some logistics that we have to figure out as it relates to on-site saliva testing every 2 weeks for anyone who wants it. And then lastly, as it relates to the new guidance, the vaccines, educators are on, I want to say a short list, but it's a long short list as it relates to receiving the vaccines. There's different stages, priority stages, and I don't want to speak too much about it because that's really rather fluid also. But hopefully educators will be moved up in the queue sooner than later to receive the vaccinations. So more to come on that too. Wish I could be more concrete on that process, but we just, and actually Wright County, who's coordinating that with us, haven't really consulted in detail on the logistics of how. We do know that we will be given a day of the week, and let's say it's the first Tuesday of the 2-week rotation, so that our testing will always be on that Tuesday, like every other Tuesday. Or maybe our day is a Thursday. It'll be every other Thursday. So I do know that part, but at this point we haven't even, we don't even know what day of the week we'll be issuing the tests.
Hey, Rhonda, quick question around that as well as the vaccine. And maybe you said it and I didn't hear it, but the actual people that will be facilitating the testing and or vaccine administration, does any of that fall upon our school nurse resources, or is it all county, or is it, we don't know yet? Like how, just out of curiosity, if you have a line of sight to that.
Yeah, the vaccine piece, I'm assuming that Wright County will manage that.
Okay.
As far as the COVID, the saliva testing, yes, we will be managing that. Our health department, our health services. So it's Becca and you know, Heather and Colette and yeah, it's our team that will be doing the saliva testing. Now, we did hear from Wright County that if it's a small number, that we can do it via Zoom. In other words, let's say it's 10 teachers who want to be tested this Tuesday. We could have them all on a Zoom, and we have to watch them like sit in their little vial, like keep an eye on them. But once they do that, they can seal in their own, of course, vial, and then send it in on their own. And so there's no violation of HIPAA or anything like that. But we do have to witness them taking the test.
Okay. So I think that'll be just, you know, obviously it's one of those, that sounds like one of those unfunded mandates, you know? And so you just to help us keep a line of sight to the logistics of that at the right altitude for the board, because you know, we would certainly want to make sure that the staff can get tested and get all of those things done without compromising the health and wellness of the students that they're here to care for as well, right? So just making sure that there's the right mix of people doing all the work. That's one of those, I mean, we don't know how many people do it or what the burden, you know, of that will be. That's why I asked the question. I was just curious.
Yeah, no,
how that would be administered.
Really don't know much more than that. Had a brief conversation, not a brief, it was over in a couple hours with Wright County, but we were talking about a lot of things, the transition model. This was just one of them. And the COVID, the saliva testing. And all we know is that we'll be administering them again every other week.
Yeah.
For any staff person who wants to take a test.
It's great. Just another something. So that's great though.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions about the latest guidance? And again, don't be surprised if you get something over winter break or right after we come back with a few more updates. I will like to mention one thing, going back to the Reams report. I don't know if the board knows that, but over winter break, our secondary distance learners are receiving their box lunch, their week-long box lunch. And we are going to continue to provide those box lunches over the winter break. So on the Wednesday in 2 days, our families will be picking up a box lunch, and then they'll also pick up a box lunch the Wednesday before the new year. We've also extended that offer to our Reams families. So our elementary families, right now, well, it closed. The sign up did close on Friday because we have to order the food. But we have like 100 Reams families who opted in to receiving the box lunch in 2 days. So this Wednesday and the following Wednesday. So in addition to the distribution that we're doing now for secondary, we've added 100 more for these 2 Wednesdays.
Wow.
Anything else? So one thing that I do need the board's input on is the strategic planning process. May I go there? The DAT team, the administrative team, has continued to work with TeamWorks International and Ray Queener and to go through the stages of the strategic planning process. We will conclude our last piece of it after the first of the year. There were just some things that kind of put us behind. Even last week, as a matter of fact, we were having our last session when this new, when the governor made the new, announced the new, updated the strategic planning, or not strategic planning, I'm sorry. When he released the new information last Wednesday, we were actually in a strategic planning meeting, and that just kind of took us off task a little bit. And so we won't finish up now until January. But I'd like to put those, I'd like to get your input on the days and the time so we can start coordinating that with TeamWorks International and get those next sessions scheduled. And so I don't know if you had a chance to look at the dates that you know that Ray Queener is available. So that's number one, if the dates work. And then number two is the time. So like your input on that.
Great. I'm just pulling that up right now and I can read it. Let me make sure. Am I unmuted? Yes. All right. So the new timelines that Superintendent Dean has suggested. So I'm just going to read it. The administrative team has participated in several 3-hour sessions. We're scheduled to complete their sessions by the end of January. Need to adjust a little bit with our strategic planning. Consider this timeline. So February 11th is a date. That would be 3 hours. February 17th is 1 hour prior to the regular board meeting. So that must align with a potential work session. If they need a full hour though, we would probably want to consider starting at 5 instead of 5:30 or something like that. February the 25th for 3 hours and March the 4th for 3 hours. One of them needed to coincide though, I thought, with a board meeting, Rhonda.
That's Yeah.
So the
that's
17th,
17th.
the 17th, Amy, we don't have a short work session because that's a even month. So we have a work session earlier in the month. On the 1st, we have a work session. And so the 17th, we just have a regular board meeting at 6:30.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we have that at 5, I don't know if we need to wait till we have our new board member to make any decisions or not. I don't know. I'm sorry. I know it's a month, or a few weeks away, but look at Kevin Grin down there.
I do think what we could do is try to nail it down tonight, and then perhaps Rhonda or Amanda could reach out to our new board member and just kind of validate that there aren't any issues, and then maybe go from there. So that might be just because I do think that it'll be important from what Rhonda said to make sure that we get on Ray's schedule.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
The session H, which is on February 17th, according to Teamworks, that works. They want it scheduled prior to the regular board meeting.
Okay.
So it sounds like we might have to add in a work session.
Is that because then at the board meeting we're approving something?
I think so, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then on the 25th, and I don't have the framework right in front of me. So then the 25th and the 4th of March must be around execution and like trying to get, like once the plan is approved, then some workshops to turn the plan to action. Is that right?
Yes, I'm sorry. I did not bring my that schedule
That's
home
okay.
that we have, because it outlines what the actions are in each of those sessions.
Okay.
I didn't go home tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cool. So I guess maybe, does anyone have any major hangups or issues with the dates that were presented for the strategic planning?
I just have a question, and maybe this is silly, but we're planning that all of these will be virtual?
At this point,
I think so for now. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so again, we'll have to consider then adding that work session prior to the board meeting on the 17th. Okay. And may I ask, the other sessions on the February 11th, 25th, and then March 4th, those 3-hour sessions, am I assuming that those sessions are in the evening, or are they during the day? The midday?
What are those dates again?
The dates are, and again, these are just tentative dates. We wanted to bring something to the board. February 11th, it's a Thursday. February 17th is the Wednesday. That's the regular board meeting.
And is that just an hour-long one that they want on the 17th, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Then the February 25th is back on a Thursday.
Okay.
So it's like Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yep.
And then March 4th is a Thursday.
Okay.
And again, if these dates don't work or Thursdays don't work, because they're all on Thursday except the Wednesday board meeting, a different day of the week, a Monday or Tuesday is better, then we just have,
I think generally,
so I can.
from my vantage point, sorry, Rhonda, go ahead.
Brady?
I was going to say, my vantage point, it seems fine. I would say maybe we look at changing I think, Jessica, you had said that there's a work session on February 1st. Is that right? Because it's an even month. Maybe we cancel that and make the work session coincide with session H,
Yep.
just to simplify schedule a little bit. And then I would almost, I don't know, like not having that schedule of the different thing from teamworks in front of us. Like if the DAT team needs to be at all of these, I would almost toss it back and say, is this too much and too short of a time for them?
No,
it's fine for me. I can make it in the evenings.
The DAT team.
But it's got to be evenings, I think. So.
See, Brady, the DAT team is not involved in these 4 meetings.
No.
Okay. Okay.
It's just us.
These are.
Yeah, I can make that work, but it's got to be it's got to be even. So.
Okay.
What's the earliest that works for everybody?
4:35. It's fine for me.
Amy, I know you have a pretty tight schedule, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just looking that up. So probably the earliest I could do is like 4 if I know enough in advance to block my calendar. Yeah. I don't have any other evening that doesn't coincide with any other evening board meetings or whatever that I have for other stuff. So it would just be, and if it's Zoom, it's easy to flip from this computer to that computer. So there's no travel time.
Say, Brady, did I hear you say, were you suggesting moving the February 11th meeting, which is the first one, G, to February 1st and using that? What did you?
No, I was just still the work session on February 1 and just make the February 17th the work session, and the topic of that work session is that 1 hour,
yeah,
right? So that they need. That would be my thoughts. So then it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in meetings. It's 4, but save 1. Yeah, that's a good thing. So.
Okay.
I'm good with all those dates. They work for me. So I guess
as long as I know I can
Oh, go ahead, Eric.
I was just saying, as long as I know I can manipulate, fine.
Okay.
My only thing is I'm really quickly looking at basketball to see if there's basketball games this evening, because there might hope that there's an opportunity for like a game. Sorry, but anyway, it's fine. I'll make them work. I would love to do it from like 4 to 7 if possible, or 4:30 to 7:30.
4:30 to 7.
Yeah, versus like 7 to 10. So if we could
earlier.
If we could kind of shoot for that, that would be nice.
Brady, what's the early? You said 4:30 works for you.
I can do 4. That's fine.
Okay, I can do 4.
Okay. We will confirm with Mr. Queener tomorrow, likely. And then we'll probably just put something on your calendar if that's okay.
Yep. Great. And then we'll just we'll make that adjustment for the February work session at a future formal,
Yeah.
organizational meeting or whatever.
Okay.
Or the January board meeting, but we don't want to lose sight of that we'll need to change that formally.
Okay. That's
Good.
all.
Cool. All right. Hey, the other thing, just thinking about committees, is with this being Kevin's last meeting, you know, the rest of the board, the rest of the 5 of us will have the organizational meeting upcoming in January. So Kevin, as it relates to any of your committee work or anything like that, I just wanted to create an opportunity for you to kind of share a little bit about what the committees were that you were part of, in case they'll be up for grabs, in case somebody wants to. And of course, obviously, we'll rejigger formally in January, but I'll just wanted to create that space.
Well, I think one of the things that we did this year that is we made sure multiple people were, you know, had input to different stuff. So, like Jessica went to the continuing ed piece, and I didn't go this year. You know, I think one that's been hard in the past and yet I think it's a really good thing is the commerce, what's it called?
Chamber.
Yeah, chamber. There you go.
Chamber.
Thanks. I think that's a good thing to be part of, and to make sure someone's engaged in that. And then the negotiations piece, I just gotta say, having HR in that room is going to make that negotiation piece go quite a bit easier, I would think. And so those are kind of the pieces that I went to AMSD once in a while, and so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Right. I know. So yeah, so in January, we'll have our organizational meeting and we'll kind of talk about what people want to do in 2021. But I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of say, this is what you did and this is what it was like and all that. So, all right. Anything else with the committee updates before we go on to our final agenda item?
Well, I personally would like to say that I would appreciate being able to stay on the Masiko board. There's things that we're working on and stuff I'd appreciate being able to stay there, but if there's any committee, just think about the committees that you're on or that maybe you haven't been on that are of interest to you, so that when we do get down to discussing committees next board meeting at our organizational, that I guess we're ready to discuss them and
yep.
People are ready to step up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And I'll say this last year, just for my committee work, was the sub for negotiations. So that was a lot of good work, really, really good work, but a lot. But other than that, I think it was Beth that like last year at our organizational meeting said, Amy, take some of these committees off your plate, and we'll do it. So yeah. I would just say that was great. So I appreciated that. The negotiations were long and good, but other than that, the committee assignments that I've been a part of have been very manageable. So. Yeah. And Eric's been on Northwest Suburban the last year, which has been great. Those are my old ones. All right, cool. Well, yeah, so come ready to think about what you want to do in 2021, and that's what the organizational meeting's all about. That and our standard policy stuff. I'm getting everything ready for the year. All right, anything else as it relates to committees before we go on to the next agenda item? Great. So the last agenda item is recognition and reflection. And so I just want to kick it off starting with the recognition side of it. And so Kevin, this is your last board meeting. You've been a part of this board for the last 4 years. I will say that I appreciate your authentic, caring, genuine way that you show up consistently every time. And for me, that's been awesome as a colleague on the board, and certainly in the role that you played as the vice chair. It was your inquisitive way that you listen, the way that you ask really good questions, and the way that you always think about the true north of the district, which is the kids that we're here to serve. And you always consistently go back to how does it feel, the culture, the climate, whatever word around it. But you always go back to that. And for that, I really appreciate you and how you showed up every single time. So thank you. Thanks it was my honor and pleasure to serve with you on this board. And I didn't really know you really much coming into this, and to kind of find out we're both from Rochester and we have mutual friends and, you know, all of those sort of things. And it's such a small world, and it's been a gift to get to know you in this capacity. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jessica?
Kevin, it's been a fun 4 years. We've had a lot of challenges along the way. Glad you were here on the board with us as we ventured through all of those. Thanks for your dedication to our kids. And hey, look at you, get these tears. These are yours. Kevin, you're a good person. You're such a good person with a great heart, and it's people like that we need helping to lead our school districts. So thank you for your hard work and your everything that you've contributed. So
my pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. I'm looking across. Anyone else like to share some thoughts for Kevin?
I make a motion.
Nope. Not happening.
No,
Karen,
Kevin, I appreciate
go
your
for
time
it.
with us. It was good work. Glad that we were able to talk and see each other in circles besides just at sporting events, which was a nice thing.
Sure.
And the drawing questions out, and appreciating people is a good thing. So good luck in where you're going. I know you'll have more adventures. So that's a fun thing. Even though you're still staying, you're just having different adventures. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Kevin, for your leadership and your passion and lessons as you move forward. I enjoyed the last couple of years with you on the board.
Well, thanks, Beth.
Brady, you're on mute.
Yes. Of course, I'm on mute. Thank you, Kevin, for keeping us flying at the right level, the right elevation. It's a board. That's kind of your thing. You're good at that, and among many things. And we'll miss you. But as a Rochester Mail guy, we won't miss you that much. Just kidding. Zing, right? No, it's all right. But good to have that Rochester connection. It's good to get to know you over the last few years, and we'll see you around. Thank you for everything.
Thanks, Brady.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, I met you first as a parent, then as a board member. And thank you. Thank you for being a supportive parent. And thank you for, I know just working with you this past year, how committed you are to this school district. So thank you for that. Yeah. And I remember one last thing, graduation. I remember when we were honoring Paul Menard for stepping up. I mean, you really wanted to be a part of that and be part of that graduation. And that's just, I really appreciate working with you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. All
I
right.
don't know who I'm going to send meeting invites to via text anymore. Like, where's the link?
Yeah. Well, I will, you know, I think that that vice chair role has been pretty fantastic, and that I got to have lots of conversations and stuff, and yet I didn't have to do any of that for the board meeting. So it was pretty great, and it's a great board. I didn't run again knowing that the district's going to be in good shape. We have a good board. You know, not everyone sees eye to eye, which I think is a very good thing. I think the questions, I think one of the things that helps with our transparency is we're not afraid to ask questions. How it helped me understand that a little bit. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate each one of you, and have an awesome next few years.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh, the other part that I also wanted to take a minute to reflect on the year, just for a minute. You know, I think I don't believe anybody, when they signed up to be on the board, expected to lead through a global pandemic, help support, provide support to the district as they flip into alternative learning models, and all the meanwhile trying to stay at the right altitude, Brady, like you said. And, you know, as I reflect on the year, I think about the only constant was change, right? Like, truly, and like, honestly, the only constant was change. And leading with grace and forgiveness and empathy were all things that I saw come through and shine in so many different members of this district as people were trying to figure out how to interpret something new, how to make a change, how to do whatever, how to adjust for tomorrow, because tomorrow is different than what they knew today. This is a year of challenging norms. You know, like how we've always done it is not how we could do it. And so it challenged us to think differently and think creatively, and sometimes in ways we didn't want to have to think, but yet we did and needed to. And when I say we, I mean the district we. I mean the teachers, I mean the staff, I mean the people closest to the humans, the kids that are being taught. That's the we that I'm talking about. And every single person in this district put on their ingenuity hat, their creativity hat. They led with compassion and heart. And as I reflect on the year, I think about the can-do attitude, like without question. It wasn't it was a question of how can I versus how can I. And I meant when I said that, when I mentioned that during Dr. Scheidler's update today. I saw so much of that just from my perspective of how can we do this differently? We need to, it's not an option. Let's figure it out and let's do something different. So those are the things that I appreciate. I think about the fact that all of our kids have computers or, you know, some form of technology. We didn't have that last year. Had no idea how we might be able to achieve that. We've got teachers that are starting to really flip into a virtual learning environment in our middle and upper classes, and I think doing it really, really well. And that's not easy, and it's not what people signed up for, but they're showing up. And the other thing that I appreciate as I reflect on the year is when I think about Mr. Menard's update at the last board meeting about social emotional health. And always thinking about that first, like thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, thinking about what we, recognizing the person, the kid first, and then figuring out everything else after that. and knowing that this is impacting our kids so differently, every single one of them. I can only imagine how that is to be a teacher or an administrator in that environment, because the norms are being challenged, you know? So I appreciate this district. I appreciate that I have the opportunity to send my kids to this school. And I appreciate everything that this team has done this year. So that's my start of a gratitude circle here, if anyone else would like to join in as we go into 2021.
I'll go, I suppose, here. Offer up
Brady.
a little bit. Yeah. So as Amy had alluded to, right, the only constant in life is change. I think it's the volume and the degree of change, right, that we have sustained, the district, you all, on a constant basis, for the equivalent of basically a full school year, right? At least, I mean, from over the summer into the start of a new year, wrapping up a year. And usually when you are, put into that type of situation, it's the really good things and the really bad things come out about the people. And you see a lot more of the really good. And that's what's encouraging to me about this district. It's a resilient little district, or maybe a resilient small medium district. And I'm proud of that. It's awesome. I have a great deal of pride that my students go to this district, that my neighbors' students go to this district, and that I live in this community that is a part of this district, because, I believe that our schools are really central to our community and representative of the community that it is a part of. And it helps to build the community. And I think that just great things are ahead. Like, we are coming out of this thing, a much better district, because that's the trajectory that we're on. So that's awesome. And I'm proud to have our kids learning in our district. So well done, all staff, admin, students, families, parents. Good job, everybody.
Thanks, Brady.
I can go. It's been quite a year. Rhonda, you've had a lot on your plate. I know we've said this before, but if anybody had said even half the things that were thrown your way would happen, you'd laugh and say, no way. So a lot of gratitude for the job you've done, Rhonda. I know it hasn't been easy, and I know we're not always as easy on you as anybody you would like, but appreciate your willingness to listen, and how hard you work. Thank you. A lot of gratitude as well to, like Amy and Brady have said, our school, our staff. I've had the opportunity to see distance learning happening since last March for one of my kids. One of my kids not going back to hybrid this past fall, and seeing what our teachers are doing at our high school level has been incredible, amazing. I can't believe what they have done for our students. That to me goes so far above and beyond the job of a teacher. There's so much more than teachers, and I know that doesn't happen in every district. we have something special here in Rockford, and I'll say that forever. There's just something special here. We have these great teachers, and other districts have great teachers too. I'm not discounting that, but there's just something really special about our teachers and our staff, and being able to witness that has been a blessing. And I'm just thankful through all of this that we have what we have here in Rockford. So thank you, Rhonda, for taking the reins, and thank you to our amazing staff in our district for doing what they've done through all of this craziness. And hopefully we'll have some normalcy somewhere in the future, hopefully sooner than later. So thank you.
I can go. So I'm just grateful to be on this board, and I have a different lens than a lot of you maybe, because I work with schools across the country, and there's some hot mess districts out there, you guys. I want you to know that I don't say the name of our district because I don't want to go there, but I often say things that we're doing when I'm mentoring and working with other districts. And inside my heart, I'm happy to know that it's Rockford. And some people know that I'm on the school board, so they know who I'm, talking about. But if you could have my view, your tears would be even flowing harder, Jessica, because I know what we're doing is so good. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we have a mission to educate our students. And I love working on this board and seeing the changes. And yeah, this pandemic stinks and it threw a wrench in a lot of our plans. But you know what? We held our head up above water, you guys, because there's some schools that just kind of gave up and we didn't. And so that's something to be grateful for. And I commend all of you for that. And just know that I have a smile on my face when I go into most districts I work in, because I know we're the best. And I see it every day. So, thank you.
Me or Kevin, one of the two.
I'm done talking for the night.
Oh, so I mean, looking at the things that our admin assistants and our paras and those folk that come to our building every day, our maintenance staff, right? What they need to do, right? We give, and our teachers, amazing job transitioning and stepping up into leadership roles and helping to figure out what and where. And our food service folk and our transportation folks, those people that help make our building run and our district run, so important. They don't, and I don't want to discredit the admin or the teaching staff, but it's sometimes our custodial staff, our engineers, and our secretaries get overlooked frequently. But who runs the building? Principal secretary. Who runs the district? Amanda. Right? So just saying. So, they have to pick up our pieces and keep Rhonda sane, I guess. So this is a good thing for us to it's all there, right? And what Jim and Miss Gronke and some of those other folk have done amazing, right? Just getting our food out. Awesome. Hitting that need. So that's what I appreciate, those little things that we have to hit. So that's a good thing. And Rhonda, of course, I appreciate you and everyone else here. Them more, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for lifting that up, Eric, because that whole meal distribution and getting food out to all of our kids and thinking that through and making sure that it's happening is on a regular day is like huge work. And throw in pandemic distance learning, kids all over the place, limited mobility, you name it. Hard to make that happen, but the team did it and continues to do it. Thanks for lifting that up.
I think the district's character shows up amongst challenges, right? And Eric smiled because I said I was going to talk. And there's a sense of, okay, we all got a job to do. Let's just recognize the spot we're in and do our jobs, right? And it's going to look different. It's going to do different things. But if you look over the last couple of years, even COVID over this last year, and go look at the changes that the district has made in the last little bit of time, right? We talked. It wasn't too long ago that we went for a referendum to get technology to each of our students, and it failed. By the way, it didn't work, and yet now each one of our students in our Rockford district has a one-to-one device. How cool is that, right? And we not only that, but remember, this is the year we had some issues with our internet as well, right? And all that kind of stuff. Remember all those things that happened on there? We have facility rules. Teachers have. I just think it's one of the spots where your character shows up. And what I like about our district is from the top all the way through. I won't even say all the way down. We've seen people step up and do really what they're called to do, which is do their job. And so I appreciate it. I know the energy is going to be, this break coming up is going to be a really good thing. And it looks different. And next year is going to look all different as well. But there's going to be challenges next year as well. And so what I like about our district is a call to, okay, pull up by your bootstraps. Let's go. What can we address? But we're in it together, and we're heading to do it. And that's what I like about our district is that we've done it and continue to do it. So well done, all staff. Well done, board. Well done, everyone. It's been fun to serve, and we're in a good spot.
Nice.
I forgot to throw Dan Pratt and Stacy Larson under the bus though too, right? With their transition, right? Digital ticketing and just starting a season, stopping a trying to do another season. Amazing, right? Ridiculous. So dealing with nasty parents like me, I'm just saying. So I mean they're amazing too. So
Well, and I'll just add into that can-do attitude shows up in that department, and it did this fall. A game gets canceled, and it's like, how can we fill one in? And what does it take? What do we got to do? Who do we got to call? What bus do we need to get where? So that the kids can have the experience that they hope for. And that's showing up. Yep. Thanks, Eric, for lifting that up too. Okay.
Well, I'll close. I think I'm the last person to speak. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be your superintendent. I recognize that as a board, you took a chance on me. And I think about that every day. And so I strive to work hard and make decisions that are in the best interests of our families. And I just appreciate you again having the confidence and the belief that I can step into this role and do this job. So thank you for that. That's what I'll remember about 2020. That's what I'll remember about 2020. Everything else but this board giving me the opportunity to have my dream job in my dream district. I mean, what else is there? But you've been a great board. I've said it before to others that when I hear scuttlebutt about, what's happening in other districts, it's like, I have a great board. I have a great board that in your own rights, in your own individual professions. I love the fact that you bring it to the board. I mean, we're so distinct that I think that's the cloth that we weave,
And that's why I think we're such a strong unit, is because we have a marketing person, we got a healthcare provider, we got an educator, we got the real estate guy. We got the PD trainer, you know, we got Infinite Campus. I mean, but look at the composition of this board. Just really appreciate it. And I thank you again for giving me the opportunity and the support. And that I will always be grateful. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for taking the time just to pause for a minute. Sometimes we get so focused and stuck, quite frankly, into the churning of the day-to-day that we don't take a minute to look back and to just appreciate, honor, and to express gratitude. And there's something about expressing gratitude that helps us, you know, just continue to have our hearts filled and our souls filled, and really appreciate the things that are around us as well. So thank you for taking the time to do that. With that, we are on to our next agenda item, which is number 12, which is adjournment.
I think Kevin should do it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
All right.
Eric Gordy, second.
A first and a second to adjourn the meeting. Any further discussion? All right. Beth, we'll do roll call vote. Beth Praska.
Aye.
Brady Anderson. Brady.
Aye.
Thank you. Jessica Johnson.
Aye.
Eric Gordy.
Aye.
Kevin Campbell.
Aye.
Amy Edwards. Aye. At this point in time, Kevin, you have never had to step in for the chair role. And so right now I'm going to step back and I'm going to ask you to serve in the capacity of adjourning the meeting this evening.
All right. So
The honor of adjourning the meeting.
perfect. Do you have to tell them what the next meeting is, or just get to go adjourn?
Say the time and then
All
say that
right.
you're adjourned.
The time is 9:46. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, guys. See you later. Thank you.
Bye, Kevin.